Now you get to come back into consulate, try and, MacGyver things up against BNK FearX. Makes your life a little bit easier once you've already been using those tools, earlier on in the day.
We'll see how closely the ban phase will parallel that earlier game between Black Dragons and G2. Of course, we likely will have a shield ban either way, even no matter who banned it earlier. Black Dragons will be the team that decides to ban the Monty. We are likely not going to see FearX. Even if they were to make it deeper into the tournament, if they win this series and move forth, we are likely not going to see shield bans from them because Nova's resurgence as a player, we haven't really seen at this event, but in the South Korea League, his resurgence has been playing Monty and Blitz like more than 50% of the rounds. They play on the attacking side. They want to keep the shields up as many as they can, so it makes sense that Black Dragons will take down at least one. Azami Valkyrie bans moving on beyond that, and 50% similar to what we saw earlier in Black Dragon's game against G2, but with the Ying being gone, the Azami being gone, I actually think, sure, you maybe want the Ying, but I think Black Dragons are probably feeling better about attacking into these set of defensive bans than they did earlier when it was Valkyrie and Fenrir. Just the Azami being gone is like, for most teams, I imagine, it's like, don't have to bring a DMR or explosive to shoot those Kibas. I'm happy.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of those things where you're not only helping out yourself, but you're kind of helping out the enemy team as well on offense, right? It's one of those things where people really just kind of want to get rid of that necessary evil and make life a little bit easier for themselves. But here we go, Carter. I wasn't here yesterday, as you referenced earlier, so we had to have Manic step in. But my very first game of the Montreal Major. Very excited here, especially with Black Dragons and the story that we've gotten to see and really just see them kind of bloom as a team in that LCQ. We kind of referenced it earlier on, but it's something that cannot be understated because their second stage, folks, it was, for lack of a better term, just piss poor. There was not a lot of things going for them at all. And a lot of the rounds that they even got, it was like, oh, you're waiting with bated breath. You know what I mean? So it's definitely something where they've made a very valiant effort to bring themselves back.
And one big reason that we saw from that dramatic drop-off was Ask and Hornet were putting in the work. It was, unfortunately, the three rookies that really dropped the ball in the regular season. But how did they make that comeback in LCQ? I mean, we're talking like 20 points, 30-point improvements from the rookies in their EPS between the regular stage and the LCQ. Just an unbelievably just undeniable improvement, but specifically from Gudo. I mean, going from one of the lowest rated players to the highest rated player through the LCQ, and now catching Good Boy very early on, peeking out of the art single. With the lineup we see right now, and the site being CEO, it's looking like we will see, probably, Sam, a bit of a quick rush at some point.
Yeah, and honestly, that is a perfect domino to start with. Getting Good Boy removed downstairs, opening up a lot of different plays, especially over towards the CEO office. Don't have to worry about that Nitro Cell being downstairs any longer. And in fact, no more Nitro Cells available to this entire squad. You do have some stop utility with the smoke. You do have those impacts you could use for a little bit of verticality, but at the end of the day, Black Dragons are well within their right to get a plant down here.
I was actually about to, I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, we don't have a Buck or a Deimos on the board, and usually when the rush comes in from CEO side, you have those two operators because you can swing around the corner, that cubby right there. Then if you don't have anybody down below, they can C4, but nope, all the utility we baited on the opposite side, and the Amaru instead goes into connector. Ask will start things off on that hop into bathroom.
Oh, terrible.
The Blitz sprinting right into the Goyo, trapped in connector. The Amaru will actually go down, not with the diffuser though, just still trying to cause chaos. It is Nux with it, but doesn't really matter at the moment. The Rin will finally hit his flank. Black Dragon just completely take control of the bomb side, and FearX don't really do a damn thing about it.
No, great initiation there from Ask, at least for the call to swing on in there. He also gets that big pick as that player transition from front desk into bathroom. But the main bread and butter of that round is BD getting that big pick downstairs inside of the closet, then adjusting themselves to the execute up top. And in fact, they really weren't going for anything aggressive over towards CEO. All of those things just made you really think that they were, especially with the Gara hook coming in. But instead, what it is a full court press on the top floor. Carter, they just want to kill everybody.
It's funny because Jesse and I were talking about this yesterday. CEO has genuinely become one of my favorite bomb sites to watch because not only are just, the basic Amaru rushes into CEO window when Amaru has the diffuser, or into connector window when she has the diffuser, not only are those so interesting, but the fake outs teams will do, despite really all the same operators being involved, it gets so nuanced because I was thinking there, okay, they'll bait the utility CEO and the Amaru will go in connector window, plant the diffuser. That's a variation we see a lot of teams do. But this time it was almost like a double bait. They put all the utility on one side, then the Amaru goes in connector, but then actually the execute really was from CEO, and it's the Blitz coming through yellow that had it. So just a bit of an even deeper change. Not completely unseen, but even more complex variation of that rush than we often see. And Black Dragons already doing better on the attacking side than they did earlier. Another win, and they will completely move beyond that G2 game before.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it downstairs, and I mean, I'm already seeing a couple of things that are a pretty big gap here for BNK Fear. And really the biggest thing is here, Carter, so we've got 0 wall denial. I mean, absolutely none. Their biggest play here was that Mira player, really exploit that we just saw them try and go for. And nothing really came to fruition. You're not able to get rid of that first exothermic. You're not able to get a nitro outside to thwart any other game plan going on. Instead, it's just a free wall for Black Dragons at less than a minute worth of time into the round.
Mephi getting a bit aggressive on the Visa's single window. Damage not exchanged either way. Not only have Black Dragons opened up the garage breach early, they have immediately taken control of Secret, opened it up within 30 seconds, and moved in within 50. There is another player, Demic, also looking to pay some attention to these Secret players. Castle too. 3 players on this opposite side, and the first kill comes by the breach. Gudo just pushing in, or not able to find one on the back side, and there's just so many players exchanging shots back and forth. Mephi will land the trade. So many resources put on this Visa side. FearX will finally find one that maybe will stop things, but that's the kill that needed to happen. Nova's just insult to injury at that point. You could have taken that 4v3 for FearX, fallen back to site, and feel really good about your chances of winning this round. Now that you've made it a 4v2 and Hornet is spotted at the bottom of Spiral, he might even have to think about retreating.
A rough situation for Black Dragons right now. Down 2 bodies in comparison to what FearX has to offer. And not really too much going on in the info department either. Demic's going to pick up Nux, and it's going to be down to Hornet to try and bring this back across the line, but highly doubt that happens anytime soon. Has a fight here with Mephi, but honestly, this is just all semantics at this moment in time. This is more than likely a FearX round, but we'll focus on what they did really well there. And the main thing is that they focused on this server side. I was really, really worried with what FearX had to really give to us in that, round here, especially initially with what we had for wall denial and a million different ways that Black Dragons could more than likely end up attacking garage, but none of that came to fruition. Instead, what we saw was Black Dragons trying to attack server and FearX doing a very bang-up job of being able to step up to the plate, take these gunfights, and shut down Black Dragons as they try to get more aggressive on this basement bomb site.
It's something I think that is a bit of an underrated element of a good basement defense. It's not even having 3 people server side. It's just having one guy there early on. When you open up the breach, most teams, you're going to know if they're rushing breach side pretty soon after it gets open.
Yeah.
It's very rare that you're going to open it up, wait 30 seconds, then do the rush. It's usually kind of a 1-2 punch, breach open, sprint in. So if that doesn't happen, if there's not an immediate blitz in your face, put somebody on that server side, as a lot of teams do, but it at least allows you to say, okay, are they going for that quick rotation backside? And if they do, sure, they might be trying to get the vertical destruction. It's possible, but it could also mean that the breach is just used to try and catch anybody rotating in the site, and the bulk of the attack will come from the back. And if you take that gamble and you put 3 players there like FearX did, you might end up winning the round. They made that gamble, and boy, did it pay off. You still need to win the defenses on consulate. They're what you should expect, but recovering after that first attacking loss and now going back to CEO, we'll see if FearX can start running up the score and make round number 1 an anomaly overall.
Consulate defenses are known for their stoutness, known for their ability to shut down the offenses very early on as they enter the building. And that's what FearX will look to exploit here. They want to try and get in front of Black Dragons. That's why you see the Clash pick come in, Carter. That's why you see the extension over towards admin side. They want to make sure that Black Dragons, no matter where they end up donning the shores of FearX, they're aware and they can valiantly fight back. We're going to have that Clash in once again. He's going to be trying to assist here with the CEO position, just getting some extra information. I love this addition of Pulse downstairs, too. You and I have talked about this op ad nauseum when it comes to this map and just how potent he is, as he can see through all 3 floors with that cardiac sensor.
And it allows you, just by moving to this opposite side of the map, you can immediately call if it's going to be an admin take or not. I mean, obviously, teams will open up the CEO window. They'll open up the connector window just for sound and phantom pressure, but the moment you send that pulse to the opposite side, odds are nobody's hunting you in basement in the first 30 seconds. And if you're able to see people in admin, you see 3 people over there, which the pulse did, you know it's going to be an admin take, and you can rotate the utility accordingly. They already had the deployable shield pre-set up, but the Clash likely, too, will start rotating to the opposite side and applying pressure there. One big impact the Clash has is probably just dissuading Black Dragons from switching to that shield, even if they decided to back off. She's one of the main counters for the shields at this point, since the impact changes, since C4s aren't exactly... They might kill a shield instantly, but getting it around that shield, the shrapnel damage around it, can be a bit difficult. Gudo now creeping up the spiral stairs. Will try to accelerate the admin push, but Demic's ready for it. You got to make plays like that. We've talked as well about how you can get stuck in this vending position for ages, and with a play like that failing, it's going to be difficult for Black Dragons, even with the 4v4.
Well, Ask will fire back, calling his own number as he puts himself on Deimos. Be able to get the shot, and so far he has been the saving grace for Black Dragons time and time again with this roster. Not to say that other players haven't been performing, specifically Hornet has had a very good set of series so far here in Montreal. Looks like Black Dragons are going to be a little worse for wear, and they're actually going to end up losing Ask as well. 2v4 on this top floor assault that FearX have done a very good job of delaying and denying outright as these kills are coming in hot and heavy. Sub-minute remain now as some Bs are going to go on to Clash, but not going to do too much for you at the end of the day.
No, especially as the Clash is just relaying the intel of one of the 2 remaining people, now the only remaining person actually on Black Dragon's lineup. Warden holding the angle on the door as the defense is hoarding towards Florio. Cutting off every avenue of retreat. The Clash as well. Just a heavy reminder that there's not really much Florio can do at this point with the toxic canisters, whittling his health down. Second by second, 15 by 15. Still got that one attack on the earlier CEO round. You can take some solace in, but FearX are showing there are not going to be any pushovers on this defensive side. We saw yesterday in FearX on Skyscraper against Chiefs, a shocking 1-5 side swap on their defenses, only winning 1 defense against Chiefs. And even though it came down very close, Skyscraper's kind of like Consulate in that if you're dropping those many defenses, the odds of you winning that series are just so small by the time you get to the second half. So FearX being able to at least mitigate that, maybe recover from that shortcoming yesterday, as they've now won 2 defenses in a row and will give the 3rd bomb site a try. At this point, if they are able to accomplish that rotation, Black Dragons might have started out strong, only, I think, losing 1 or 2 bodies in round 1. But if FearX win 3 in a row, and these rounds have not looked particularly close since the first one, might be time the Black Dragons could take an early tactical timeout.
Yeah, most definitely. You do feel as though you need at least 2 offensive rounds going in your favor here on Consulate. So they're not that far away given those circumstances, right? But the big thing is here is that FearX has looked very dominant inside of these last 2, and they still have a lot of options, a lot of positive options here on Consulate, as this map has some pretty solid bomb sites across the entire board. There's not one that's really all that much of a slouch. I mean, obviously a lot of people not liking Split all that much, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily bad at the end of the day.
No, it's just if you have a site like CEO and Basement where with the changes, it's a lot more narrow of a map. There's a lot less windows you can hold from the outside. It's just harder to get in the building. It's just harder to take fights and hold cutoffs. You have
very
to,
congested.
Exactly. You actually have to get into the building and take control, which is probably why the shields are, I think, the shield changes are welcome.
Especially Blitz. Blitz has completely changed the way that you can take Consulate. Monty obviously does a lot of the same, but he's a little bit slower in comparison, right?
Yeah,
so.
The movement changes help overall, but just that flash with the movement changes makes Blitz a little bit better on this map, and especially because Monty seems to be the main one banned of all the shield operators. But even then, you might be able to get that shield inside of the building, but take the yellow skylight. While Black Dragons won it, you got to worry about connector, yellow stairs, bathroom, 3-way crossfire you could find that you might have to clear early on. In this case, get somebody printer, get somebody inside of blue, get somebody behind that deployable shield. If you want to take control of the top floor, there's usually at least 3 angles watching the 1 doorway you can walk in through. And Nux might be moving to that blitz. Lowest rated player so far of the tournament on a very important set of operators. He will need to break through this stalemate.
We're back to the checker hallway. So one thing you always have to worry about with Consulate, especially when it comes to these top floor assaults. You have a player moving up inside of the manager hallway. What a shot from Hornet. Rin just keeping their face where it doesn't belong, and they'll end up getting gunned down for it. Didn't even delay all that much time either. And a nice little discovery here from Ask, although a lot of damage, it seemingly goes on to him, at least from the screen flash there. Actually very minimal at the end of the day.
Hornet with another one, just single-handedly dismantling this top floor as a 4-man hold up top. Nux actually losing all of his HP to the Nux falling too. A reversal from FearX. The guns coming alive from the 2 survivors of this Black Dragon's top floor clear. Gudo grasping at straws, moving deeper into CEO, and FearX making the right call. They'll rotate back, but a nice find from Gudo, watching this vertical angle. The Warden and the Maestro need to be careful on this retreat, and you can see they are very aware of that angle. They were the ones that made it after all. We'll leave Nova in a bit of an awkward spot, actually sitting prone beneath the art window right now, and there's a bit of a sitting duck for Florio. The site's actually clear, Sam.
Plenty of time, too. Active drones for Gudo and Florio as well, so we can get a head count at some moment in time, and that's exactly what Gudo's going to go for. When you have time like this, folks, you want to be able to exploit it to its fullest, and that's how you're going to find Demic over here inside of the side hallway. A lot of people just try and rush in, especially in a 2v2. Not something you exactly want.
No, good fireball placement right there, choking off the retreat or entrance for both these players inside of the site. This will give Florio ample time to actually get in with the diffuser, but the intel is still lacking. We obviously know they're bottom yellow, but Gudo's still concerned. They're elsewhere. A two-man retake, and the Capitao reacts in time, tagged up on the exit, but the Capitao's done his job. He's allowed the diffuser to go down. Demic on the wraparound will fail to find his mark. Now the ace down below has moved into his post-plant position, evaded all of the vertical angles he is now well aware of, given his time spent researching on the top floor. Air jab doesn't really matter in the end. Gudo knows his position and allow him to get the kill. Black Dragons looked like it had slipped from their grasp, but a second attack comes in the 2v3.
Yeah, they keep it calm, they keep it cool, they keep it collected at the end of the day. And that's the biggest thing there. Black Dragons, well within their right to still try and clutch things out, and they use every single piece of their arsenal in order to do so. Good information game, on top of being able to get that firebolt down to hold up the hallway, whilst they're also getting the case in. Very well done from Black Dragons. FearX, though, they try and respond in kind. It's just too little too late. Sending those two bodies up yellow. The plant's already gone on. And also, a lot of red flags there for BD as they were encroaching on that position. And they played out extremely well. You know, they run off over towards the bathroom area, able to keep themselves alive, able to stave off their elimination long enough to make things really murky for FearX. I mean, in a perfect world for them, Carter, they get there just in time as that plant goes down. They kill the Overwatch and more than likely get that player as they come off the plant, but none of that came to fruition in the slightest.
I also think, you know, some of a bit of a difference between the LAN and the online environment. I think if we're maybe online, maybe you see the Warden actually try to cross that single door. You know, the combination of ping and the reaction time, maybe just allowing him, even if he's tagged, to make that cross from bottom yellow to more towards the bottom spiral side and then get another angle inside of the site. But with how actively Black Dragons were holding that cutoff on the vertical on land, he probably would have reacted and taken him down pretty easily. Just a bit of a difference you might have to concern yourself with. Black Dragons stuck on that side and the retake just not working out whatsoever. They will get an elusive second attack on that tertiary site. Basement now unlocked as well. That is where FearX will go back. We have a bit of a roam again. Vigil all the way on the top floor, and Mephi holding yellow stairs to allow him to retreat. This can be a pretty strong, at least combination of positions that allow FearX to play aggressively, then get safe passage back. We'll see how much attention Black Dragons pay to it.
Have the Vigil back in for Good Boy. You in play too, just to try and assist with this Doke utility. We've been seeing that a lot nowadays, and you know we haven't been seeing too much? A rush, and wow. What an answer for that, Carter, as Mephi is going to catch two immediately off that phone call. Very well done from him.
I think we just briefly saw as well that was diffuser blown up on that skylight drop as well. Now, you're on the top floor, so it's a bit difficult, but look at this call from Black Dragons. Realizing the situation they're in, they immediately fill that space.
What a shot.
Nice shot from Nux right as the F0 triggers, but there's somebody spiral, and he will be able to get that trade. Good Boy aware of the backside push now. Well aware at this point. Gudo just mechanically better in that instance. Ask bringing it back too. The fight that is left in Black Dragons after these early setbacks is more than commendable, but the cold reality of the diffuser stuck on yellow stairs is very, very real. But now with the 2v2 in a minute 20, they've got time to figure this out.
Yeah, it definitely makes you worried after what we just saw out of Black Dragons. Boiling this down to a 2 versus 2 more than likely bodes well for them. Okay, still at the top of yellow, and not exactly the cleanest look from them, as they really have to just try and beat FearX over the head with pretty much just brute force at that moment in time, try and get these kills back into a positive way, and eventually they'll do that, but now it's going to come down to where they want to try and put this case. We do still have the 2 remaining FearX members sitting on the bomb site, waiting patiently for Black Dragons to try and show up. We are going to have Ask working his way down yellow. This is going to be the moment in time for them to try and open things up, as this smoke grenade will come in from the Jackal.
I'll block the angles to allow Ask the way in. Default still up.
Wow,
We'll give that
shot.
information, but what a heads up by Ask. Swings around the corner, anticipating the retake attempt. Mephi taking a little bit of damage. Gudo creeping through, but that's just an engagement that favors the mute. Oh! A quick peek double to finish that one off. A round that changed hands many times over its course, but FearX winning a key moment to stay positive on the defense.
Solid stuff for them. They've been able to at least compete with Black Dragons, even in moments like this where BD are kind of able to get themselves back into the round. They're still more than capable of winning things out, even when it gets down to a pretty nitty-gritty round like what we saw in round 5. But this is where the rubber truly hits the road. Round 6, some potential here for Black Dragons to try and make this 3-3. FearX will definitely be happy at the fact that they've been able to at least mitigate the scoreline, at least make it a tie ball game when this half swaps. But you have to be worried for their future, as Black Dragons has looked more than consistent on console defenses.
And especially when the main performer for FearX is Methy right now. Obviously 4K in that round. He was the one that hit that double C4, hit the 1v2 at the end to save round 3. But he was also the one all the way back on basement, who I believe was the Oryx running around that not only got the trade on the guy playing server, but then walking back up, took down the guy cutting off his rotation on the Visa single window. A double kill in that round might be half of a 4K, but those were 2 of the most important kills in that round. Obviously 10-2, 5 KD at the moment. The best performer for FearX by a country mile, and the impact of all those kills cannot be overstated. It has gotten FearX this 3-2 half, as Black Dragon seem destined to win that round. Going into the final one. Back to CEO, back to this top floor. No Amaru, no shield either. They have moved away from it on this bomb site after that first half, after that first rush. We'll see what the changes they make, as it seems maybe, actually, it's just an admin take 2 times in a row.
He's muted. I did see him bring the trigger back out there for that breaching charge. No mute there. Interesting.
Just patient, I suppose.
Yeah. There we go. Ends up clicking that. I don't know if that was just a visual glitch on our end or what, but I promise you, I saw him bring out that remote trigger. Either way, they will end up getting that window open, and it's clearly looking like an admin take once again here from Black Dragons. No shield in play, as Carter had said. Looks like they want to try and work their way in via the staircase, as well as these windows for now. We'll have Nux positioned to try and get a couple of these Roteros in and try and blow up a little bit of this utility, making their jobs and lives a lot easier when it comes to their inevitable execution.
The barbed wire on Spiral is certainly important to clear, but FearX were aware of the possibility of somebody lurking up that staircase last time. The Warden just checks it. I believe it was Demic that round. Just checks it, catches the guy walking up, and Black Dragons were stuck just to try to brute force their way through vending. So clearing that utility is good, but FearX are more than aware of that Black Dragons want to take that position, want to cut off that rotation in the long desk spot. So you'll have to do a bit more than that to catch FearX off guard. The Deathmark trackers might be the solution. Now getting some vertical play as you move past the halfway point of the round. Flashbang might go in, but I'd assume it's just baiting utility. Now, as I say it, the K targets all utility going out, but again, another double C4 from FearX. Diffuser dropped like a lead weight outside a connector window, will plummet to the floor, and Florio shot right out of the building. 2v5 as this execute has just completely fallen apart for Black Dragons, excuse me. The round has completely come together for FearX, a flawless one to end their time on the defense with a lead after that early start from Black Dragons.
It's a 4-2 half on their opponent's map choice, but are they going to fall into the same potholes that we saw Black Dragons start to trend into? The biggest thing there for me, Carter, is the lack of intel from Black Dragons in a lot of these openers. They're kind of flying blind, and they're getting punished a lot from just decent positioning from FearX, and even past decent positioning. Some of these positions that we saw from FearX weren't even all that good. Like the player over on yellow, that's something that you should know 100% before flying in through the skylight. Things like that are just going unchecked by Black Dragons. And not only is it punishing them, but it's punishing them in a very severe way. 2 big kills out of 1 Nitro cell, that's something that seldom happens. That's why we get so excited when it does. But to have that happen now in 2 separate rounds, that's something that you cannot allow, especially from this perspective.
And especially because when you are attacking the CEO site and you, instead of going just straight through admin or straight through yellow, but you're going from one of the repels, one thing every team does is they take an extra 30 seconds to put in, like, let's say 40% of their Grim Util, some of their Candelas, an EE1D, to bait out the utility and bait out a C4, especially because you can hop back out if there's a smoke, at least on the CEO side. But if a C4 lands, you're rappelling into the window. You can't escape from that. And Black Dragons didn't really take the time to bait out that util. They threw it all in, and as a result, lost, again, as you said, 2 bodies to those C4s. FearX will get a lead on the defense. You asked the question, will FearX fall into some of the same potholes as Black Dragons? I agree, but will they fall into the one big pothole, which is just the attacking side? Like, there's a lot of the same issues you can run into, but how many times have we seen teams? I mean, we saw it earlier today. up 5-1 on the defense, and because this map can be so difficult and it requires the attack to do so much, you struggle. And Nova going back on those shields, he's 5-4 right now, but even though he was pretty solid on this in the Korea League, he has been less than stellar on the shields in Montreal so far.
Yeah. You and I have had a little bit of a discussion about Nova, and you never really know what you're going to get out of him. You're either going to get a Nova life game where he seems like the most unbeatable opponent, especially when he's on shields in the world, and then you'll also get these games where he just simply cannot muster a single play. But oh my goodness, what a moment we have here. Nux is accidentally going to kill Gudo. Ass gets one, but now FearX, they are all over BD across the board, and exactly that, Carter. What the heck is even going on here? It's all up to Florio. He's going to get one, but the jig's up. We all know you're on the mid floor.
I don't even really know what happened right there. I just saw the blitz run into piano. I'm like, oh, they're going after like the one guy there. The entire team just died. Florio. Got to be careful now. A good TCSG player is a fearsome one to face. Two very, very solid kills to cut the manpower from FearX in half. And he is just moving completely free inside of the site. No head holes on yellow as well, so while he can't get aggressive, he can creep awfully close to this door frame. And if FearX don't take the time to drone, Florio could go unspotted in this position. We're using exothermic for soft destruction. That is how much we are being careful.
Hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right? That's what you have at your disposal. That's what can make those vertical holes. And hey, if that's the only way we can do it, then by God, that's the way we'll have to get it done. FearX, they're going to take their time, Carter. I was really hoping, because you guys have 4 drones active right now. If you didn't drone, I was going to be pretty angry with you, just to let you know. But instead, we'll get this. Florio inside of a 1v2 with 30 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I mean, we'll tag up the Maverick as he comes in, but Demic with a very well-timed drop. Towards the end there, I really appreciate that thoroughness from FearX, because not just were they droning out the thermite to get that information, we see 1 drone on the cafe side and 1 drone on Spiral. Basically putting 2 drones in a position where they know if that Cade moves. They have completely isolated him. If he wants to leave that double door, they will have intel on it. And if he shoots that drone, they've got the Spiral one as well to know if he could have crossed in a cafeteria. It's one thing to see a team be patient and do that, but to see them ISO it, it's just very, very nice. Especially when FearX are looking to overcome at least a theoretical hurdle on their attacking side. They've won 1 round, and logically, the moment you have let that 3-round lead escape, you are now down 2-5. You've lost the first defense. Black Dragons will take that tactical timeout. They were able to stave it off on their attacks by winning round 4. Of course, lost the next one. 2-4 certainly manageable. But now, Sam, FearX are 1 round away from match point on your pick. You got to figure this out.
Yeah, you got to call a timeout here, Carter. And that's exactly what we're going to get. And you guys can all see as clear as sunlight during the day. Ask and the coach and everybody else in between all turning towards him to see exactly what they can kind of pull out of their hat. Because as of right now, they're putting a lot of value in their potential to hold down the map. And what we saw inside of that last round is that FearX are not fearful in the slightest. In fact, if they can get 1 domino to fall, it really seems as though they really know where the rest of those cards are being held. And they get a lot of kills at the drop of a hat, really, Carter. It was a pretty important round there for FearX as they have fully set Black Dragons under their back heels, and we'll see where things go from here. But as of right now, FearX, even in comparison to the maps that we've already seen them play, look like a completely different beast.
And with just 1 round victory, this map has gone from pretty standard consulate fare between a team might be their pick, but still getting 2 solid rounds of the attack, nothing to worry about. And just 3 minutes later, now we are in a whole lot more of an interesting position where FearX have taken that lead, and the onus is on Black Dragons to mount this comeback to win CEO as they move up to the top floor after dropping basement in round 7. You're going to have Nova back on that blitz. We know it. FearX know it, but hopefully, more importantly, Black Dragons know it. And how will they account for it? Not a lot of Legion, of course, but the Malusi, the Grzmots from the Ella, and the F-Knots from the Fenrir. A lot of traps to make sure that Nova cannot get control for free like he did last time.
Correct. And that's the big thing here. That's really what we want to focus on for FearX. How are they going to try and process this map, where they're going to start, and really what is that kindling for them, right? Black Dragons that last time around put a lot of value in the mid-floor, and why wouldn't you? It's a basement bomb site that a lot of that verticality plays extremely well into the offensive hand if they're able to get control of it, but instead Black Dragons goes punish left, right, and center, It makes their life very difficult because of that. Are they going to try and pull value back towards the site? More of a turtle setup might be something that they try and look into. But for FearX, you can tell, at least as of right now, a little bit of patience all up until this moment here.
Ooh. Gotta be careful. Remember, we
They're
saw
gonna
what
go for the
happened
plant.
when you didn't bait out that
Uh-oh.
utility, so there goes
Oh,
the
it's a
C4.
quick drone! Rin!
That is goated from Rin right there, and the diffuser goes down. That is
Wow.
so excellent from FearX. You just cannot account for that for Black Dragon's setup. 2 players face that blitz. There's not a lot he can do after that. Man disadvantage is a little worrying. Mephi the only one outside on rappel, and Good Boy anticipating somebody to go hop out the art window. The call is likely being given. Mephi, you don't need to watch that. You can look towards yellow. You can watch the CEO window. Good Boy will do his work. Take down Gudo. That lets Mephi fully focus on the top floor. Hornet completely gives up on the run out.
This is the round.
The indecision has given FearX it. Match point now in their hands. What a play from Rin. We have asked a lot of questions of him at times, but with one shock drone, he has given FearX match point.
A lot of people ask me, Carter, and a lot of people have asked me across the years, what separates Rainbow Six Siege from a lot of different games? And I always say it's creativity. They give you a toolkit, they give you a huge sandbox to play with, and it's your job to understand what you can do with these tools. And that's just another one right there. You and I have never seen anybody operate around that bomb site in that way. In fact, that's why both you and I were like, oh, you're swinging in that window. That's crazy.
It's funny. The only other time I've seen it was coincidentally on console, but it's a different site. There was a match in the NAL where Bolo on Twitch was like shocking Zoto canisters on Twitch as they got thrown in. But, you know, the Zoto canister hits the wall, freezes it stationary. Like, that's cool that he was that proactive and got it in a hidden spot. But, like, you got to track the C4, react in time to shock it, and the fact that Rin, of course, got it in that position, but that's a bit harder and more dangerous utility to miss if it goes awry. Just an unbelievable play from Rin right there. Unreal. And now up 6-2, denying Black Dragons a comeback after their tactical timeout. We really might have a 7-2 if FearX can just keep their cards playing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, honestly. Like, I did not see us at this score line, and neither did I see FearX kind of go into the casino and just be like, I love winning, and just keep it going. You know, and that's the big thing here. At least that last round, not a lot of gambling, not a lot of things where you really had to worry all that much, but you definitely needed some positive reaction out of Rin there. And if you didn't get it, you more than likely lose the round by just banking the case there inside of the actual bomb site. So life would have got a lot more difficult for them. But speaking of difficult lives, look at things from Black Dragon's perspective, folks. They have to go for 4 perfect rounds here up against FearX, who have been very patient with their delivery so far.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you're on defense. A 4-round comeback, no matter what, is just like, oh, God, we don't have our tactical timeout either. Like, it's just going to be a weight that is hanging from your neck for the rest of this, especially as this is your pick. Like I said, this is a map that Black Dragons have really only dropped in the past 6 months to Liquid and FaZe. The top 2 teams in the Brazil regular stage are first and second place teams. But still, they will mount a very impressive fight early on in round 9. A 2-piece from Gudo and Ask. There might be a trade, but Black Dragons needed this. They've got the case in their hands. I don't care what vertical control you can get with that revolver, Mephi. That diffuser is in the hands of the defense for the moment. You'll need to reset to find a way to get it back.
Stun out. Fully blinds his opponent, but doesn't want to push off of this, at least for Mephi's sake. And why would you? You got a lot of verticality to play around here. This revolver could be the saving grace for FearX on this round, especially as Ask is so dangerously low on health. Rin's going to get a big pickup here onto Nux, and they know that there's a body around here. You can see how fearful Black Dragons is being, as they do not want to try and give up these bodies at such a critical moment.
Especially with Ask so low. I mean, look at that HP. 7 health remaining. Of all the players you'd want, it would be him playing close with that shotgun. Maybe the best chance to win a fight at that low HP. Mephi hops in. Just encircles him with that shotgun. But every single shot lands and does not go to waste. But Hornet, equally so, able to find Good Boy on that rappel. And now Mephi has a whole lot of work to do. He'll need to be 15-3. We'll need a straight 5-0 KD to finish this off. And Ask can make it easy for him. Ask could feed himself, get a little too cocky, and just one shot from that revolver. 1 of 6 will do. Prone on the floor, that is how you take the advantage away. The surprise factor will keep Black Dragons alive, but a strong opening too. We'll give them 1 round out of 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrifying prospect for Black Dragons right now, as FearX, time and time again, have been complicating these rounds to the nth degree. This is just yet another example. Just, things not working out for FearX in the way that they wanted to. If they end up getting those 2 big picks up top and they don't really, end up getting those big volley of frags back, then we probably have a completely different round on our hands. But instead, this is what we have, and Black Dragons are capable of keeping that case locked up on the top floor. A valiant effort, especially from Ask, as he was dodging everything and the kitchen sink there inside of that connecting room. So making life a little bit easier for them now is a breath of fresh air, more than likely amongst the bench of Black Dragons, but still a lot of work to be done here on Consulate.
Still a bit ironic that was a exposition defense, as all the action taking place on CEO. I mean, we saw that bottom floor like literally one singular time, it felt like. They are able to get that victory as we move on to round 10. Holding on to this top floor, you can run the shields. The shields are very good. That is undeniable. But just look at this Black Dragons lineup. 4 trap operators and a smoke that is very good for countering that blitz as well. Catching him in the toxic canister, slowly whittling him down on HP with each throw of the smoke babe. And so FearX will move away from it. And it has to be said, this is where they start to get a little bit weaker. It's always been sort of their weakness on attack, that they're a bit slow. They struggle to problem solve a bit. And to be fair, on that bank game we just saw, they did quite good at losing key operators and then rotating to execute around to get new map control, to solve the problem, to get a big play and speed up the pace to fix an issue. But still not having that shield on how difficult a map like Consulate is to attack Sam. They got a gap, they've got a buffer. Still might be a bit difficult.
Yeah, most definitely. You still have to hit your mark, and that's the thing. Although you might have 3 rounds, there is a world where Black Dragons is able to pull this back. There's a reason why they selected this map, and it's because of how potent the defensive side is, and obviously they are banking on the fact that they can make this defensive bastion work. And, well, what a better way to test it than being asked to go flawless, practically, through 4 rounds. FearX trying to recreate themselves, and I think Mephi ended up getting stuck or something there.
I was about to say, I imagine he was probably stuck on like drone or the rappel bug or something. We don't often see the rappel bug anymore, at least I think, but I think that was the reason why. And if you can't get on drone and he's stuck, you just got to send into cams yourself.
Look at the horizon, Mephi.
No kill number 14 for you, unfortunately.
What's that thing that Gibby says from iCarly? How's my hair, Sam? It's good. It's real good.
A lot of lines Gibby has. That's also the line from The Wire, but anyway, that's beside the point. Look at Judo going for this swing. Oh, nothing Devin can do at that point. Gifted a 5v4, and they'll get technically the actual opening pick. Just swinging on into the admin side, and we'll know somebody is bottom Visa as well.
Oh.
Just so difficult to deal with, especially in a man disadvantage. You got to feel for FearX right now. They'll try to push forward. Nova will fire off the close swing, and will find one. And because he fired that off, he will get away scot-free. They also know this player's behind the shield. Excellently placed nade, but Florio with the flick. Good boy tries to get him on the fall off, and it just does not work. Smoke canister, final one going out. Maybe even pre-placed on that door, not entirely sure. Nova will just creep forward. Hope that Black Dragons give him an engagement. Gone 6, hits the computer monitor in front. Insult to injury, Black Dragons now 2 rounds in a row. Maybe a timeout from FearX, only because if you lose one more, well, you've only got one more chance to close this in regulation.
Yeah, very true. I don't know if they just let this one go through, just given the circumstances of how that round opened, right? That little bit of an issue there.
There is a pretty big asterisk on it.
Yeah, so I think that's the biggest thing here for me, but still plenty to be done. And actually, they're going to take it right now, feeling, very similar to what you were pointing out there. FearX have to try and get something going for themselves. They have 2 rounds in order to do so, but might as well use that timeout here to try and discuss what you could bring to the table, not only in this round, but the round post that. So Black Dragons now will have some time to discuss things as well, as their coach now has access to the bench, and I'm sure they will be having a very similar conversation. Look at how similar the score lines are for these BD members. 3 players at 8 kills, Florio with 6, and then Nux bringing up the rear with 3. Across the board, they've each been able to find their timing, find their mark, at least in a couple of these rounds, but nobody really boiling to the top. We did see Ask there for quite some time, having a heck of a game for himself on that offensive half, but since then, things have kind of cooled down.
Certainly so. Should be noted, by the way, that, of course, if you're not familiar with the FearX squad, the coach behind them is Dark. We are approaching almost a year for him on this roster. He joined after the Atlanta Major, and he is from Brazil. He is Brazilian, and big reason I imagine why when you saw them winning certain rounds, he was the most vocal of all of them, yelling at Black Dragons. But of the incremental successes that FearX have had, a lot of them have come after Dark, making his entrance on the team at SI, taking a map off Furia, the eventual world champions at that event. Then, of course, beating G2 at Manchester. And now in this spot, finally fighting for what feels like just the first real achievement that FearX, previously Sandbox, have had in ages.
Yep.
Making not even a deep run, just a run in a tournament. That is what they're fighting for right now. And if you get a win on your opponent's pick, it feels a whole lot more real than if you even just win yours. They'll pause, they'll wait. Very early peek by Hornet. Just barricade it back up. Not entirely sure what angle you can even really see right there based on where he was. Maybe he was trying to run deeper, but...
Not really one for run-outs, I'll be honest. Usually the guy that's like, dying potentially in the first 15 seconds of the round. I don't know.
Yeah, you and I are not really comfortable with the gambles like that, are we?
No, I'm not a gambling man when it comes to stuff like that in Siege.
No, if you're going to do it, Ella pistol would be the pistol you use.
True. Love the red dot on that thing.
Can we add that to every pistol?
I think they actually ended up doing a pseudo version of it when they did the SMG for Clash, and then they also brought it in for some of the reflex sight as well. It's just a little bit bigger. That's the biggest thing.
We'll use the boogie drone, cover the sound a little bit while also getting some vertical destruction. You'll be able to look down on anybody looking to actually retake Visa later in the round. Electroclaws will go out, but this is not a heavy roam by any means. And one player maybe playing aggressively by yellow stairs, and one pushed a little bit up Visa, but that is it. Nobody from Black Dragons are looking to get aggressive, and Sam, I honestly think probably a good idea for a team that at least has a reputation for being sluggish. Don't give them that.
Yeah, most definitely not. Not exactly something that would bode well for you, especially as it kind of be of a bit of a Kickstarter there. One of the boogie drones in, and potentially the last one going down for Good Boys. He'll line that up and start to play the verticality downstairs for the garage. Any denial? Yeah, we do have a little bit. Ask is going to have the wall denial, and Nux will be here to assist with that, as those Zoto canisters will be ready and waiting for this wall to try and have any play from FearX. And they've taken quite a bit of time here, Carter. Still outside the building for all intents and purposes, as they will just now be finding their way in on the piano side, as well as the teller side, trying to get a little crunch going on this mid-floor. But the only thing they're really going to get from this is verticality and some wall access, and it's not coming in good timing.
No,
not coming in good timing at all.
It's just the unfortunate reality of an operator lineup like this. If you have the Tubarão and the Cade, it's gonna slow down any attack, and if you're a slow team, it's gonna punish you for it. It is not gonna make things easy for you at all, and especially for those Zotos. Not only can you just throw them on a wall, but even throw them on a door to make it harder for the attack to push in. But Methy with that shotgun at close quarter is actually probably better favored against Hornet than you would otherwise think somebody pushing down Spiral, but Nux there for a pretty quick trade. Nova might rotate across as the bulk of the attack coming from the opposite side, but the Clash is bought in yellow. If you're going to shock any player, the guy with the diffuser is the exact prime candidate for that electricity. We'll rotate around, but oh my god, the timing on that one. Nova will actually find his way in. Unknowingly, Florio gives him an opportunity, and there's nobody close to deny this. Good Boy's able to get the kill, make that two, as long as the Buck acquires very important control. Pass might land one, make that two shots. Unbelievable pre-fire from the Cade. Will rip the head off of Demic, but Methy falls back. The vertical control in the Clash make this very difficult for him to win, but the shield could block that verticality. Very importantly, he will creep forward, and they have to react in time. Ass covering, he will drop. He wins that fight, but he downs the Clash, and it does not matter. The veteran, 4 kills for Ask to save Black Dragons on, let's be honest, some pretty bad luck.
And you can see the relief on Ask's face. All of his body language says, I was not supposed to win that, but somehow, some way, we did. And blood pressure has to be through the roof right now for this bench over here. But Black Dragons, they are catapulting themselves towards an overtime, and they've gotten it down to one last round. One last defense, and then there's some potential for them to try and take this in OT. But they got to cross that bridge first. maximum regulation, and off the back of some solid FearX antics. I mean, I really liked what we saw out of that offense there, especially with the fact that Good Boy was just putting people to the sword left, right, and center as they were trying to regather themselves around the yellow pillar down low. But it all came down to Ask and some clash play. And fortunately enough for them, able to get it across the line.
And ultimately, like, Nova, I really thought was going to struggle getting in yellow, but just some things you can't predict. The moment Florio decides to back off is the exact moment Nova decides to run in. And the Clash is like, I was just there. Like, you weren't supposed to come in. Like, I was waiting here for 45 seconds for you. And it's the kind of things you can't predict, but it's the kind of plays that Ask has been able to pull off in moments like that. The round that got them the victory over Furia was them struggling to attack on Skyscraper, slowing down, reaching a stalemate, not knowing what to do, and Ask walked up main stairs, won 2 fights in that position, I think got a 3K overall, but made a play like that just on the opposite side. They needed him to show up, needed somebody to go big, and consistently Ask has not only been that player with high-impact kills, but with massive individual plays like that. He is just the star player on this roster right now, and 12-7, I mean, the only player actually positive for Black Dragons at this point. Very clear who the MVP is. 3 defenses in a row now. Good Boy will try to use the element of surprise to his advantage, moving into the main lobby early. See if anybody will give him an angle or rotate in front of him.
I really like this, too. This mid-floor bomb site usually begs the question as to how the defense is going to hold on to that top floor and how the offense is going to deal with that. But FearX have quite a bit going on here. You have that unit to try and deal with the top level, but you also have the Nook to try and sneak in, slip through the cracks, and get a nice play going on for that mid-floor. Potentially some big pickups. A flash comes out from the buck, or rather the blitz, and 2 big kills going the way of FearX. 1 remaining player at this top level.
Well, nobody remaining at this top level. No, Ask is still alive.
Yep.
You came through for Black Dragons last round, my man. Your number will be called again here. Florio is alone on the site. And Ask with a very difficult situation presented to him upstairs. It's such a hard spot because you want to fall back. You know it's likely you're not going to win it no matter how hard you try, but he'll call up Florio. They will walk through the breach and try their best. Will spot the Lion. The quick peek actually working out. Gets the long angle on yellow 2. Will down 1. Some chaos spurred in the FearX lineup, but Nova sprinting past will finally cut him down. A 1v5 must happen for Black Dragons to secure their pick. Will find one. Not even that! He gets too confident, hits the kneecap, not the head. That won't get the job done. FearX explosive in round 12 to secure the key to their opponent's pick.
Wow, oh wow, Carter. Was not expecting this. Was not expecting this at all when we sat down for consulate in between these 2 teams. I thought we were going to see a very dominant map here from Black Dragons, but that's anything of the sort. I mean, Ask is really the only positive thing that we see, minus his KD spread, out of Black Dragons. Everything else is everybody just really grasping at straws and trying to catch up to FearX. He was really the only one that was constantly neck and neck with these players and trying to make the most out of these situations. But past that, it was the FearX show and really showcasing just how positive this team has grown to be. I mean, these last couple of events, things exactly haven't been all that great for them. I mean, they predominantly finished like, what, 10th place across a lot of these different events. So
we might be talking about 20.
Yeah, it's been a little rough. I was trying to give them a little bit of credit, but you know how things go.
10th is like a deep Swiss run, and they've not been in Swiss in like years.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we're going to get the stats up here for you folks. You can see exactly what happened inside of this map. And Mephi, the biggest player here for FearX, but across the board here, specifically Mephi and Nova, that duo making a lot happen here.
Yeah, maybe not a career Nova performance, but a good one.
Yeah.
Very controversial player, as Vanek said yesterday, very controversial player in the community, but you can't deny he showed up today on that shield when FearX were succeeding. Even if he was not getting kills, he was making space. 92% cost. But I think it's also undeniable that this was the Mephi Nova show. As you said, I mean, a little bit more shoddy impact on the way down. Good Boy did have some moments. Rin, obviously, it's not registered in the cost, but I think that Twitch drone is worthy of 10% on that CEO attack, to be honest with you. But Black Dragons overall, this is a team that I think we can say, if you're thinking about what's better, the coordination or the individual performances, I think you're going to say they do a lot better in the latter than the former. And so when you have 4 players going negative, only Ask is really able to get positive. And let's be honest, at about 12-8, 4 of those kills were in that 1v4. Without those, he's only 8-8. it really was a bit of a struggle overall for Black Dragons, and now they've lost their pick because of it. We have FearX's territory of Cafe up next, and they might make phase 2 for the first time right after this. map we just saw, I mean, like, what do you even say? Like, I get FearX beat G2. I get that this team has potential, but a win like that on concept, we really could have had a 7-2 on Black Dragon's pick, Sam, and the fact that we are here, I don't want to get my hopes up because I've been there for this team at moments like this before, but FearX might finally make it out of Phase 1 after ages, barely even cracking it close.
Literally ages. I think the last time that this roster, or at least the start of this roster, was in a really positive way, a really positive tone, was all the way back in like 2019 when they weren't even under their own organization. It was like Mantis FPS.
And like, if you want to be generous, maybe when they were C9 in like 2021.
Yeah, maybe. I honestly, at this moment in time, there's been so many bad versions of this team that I've just like lost the plot as to when they were actually doing good. Just because like they've just routinely showed up to these events, have not been able to really find their stride, and have been sent home time and time again. And it's something that they've been continuously trying to work diligently towards and trying to break this terrible, vicious cycle that they've been a part of. And today, that might be this moment here on Cafe, a clean 2-0 up against the Black Dragons, let alone this roster of Black Dragons, but a team that took an entire best of 3 off of one of the best rosters in the world that we have to offer for 2024 and kept Furia at home. So it would be pretty inspirational if FearX was able to get this done, especially in a convincing way like a 2-0, but we will just have to see. Do not let that deceive you, folks. I know that says Bank, and I know it says Clubhouse next, but that is not the case here. We had Consulate first, and we will be playing Cafe as our second map choice.
Which is a bit of an interesting map for FearX, that it is their pick, because in recent history, they've only played it twice and lost it both times. In the Korea League to Mir, and then also as well to NIP all the way back at SI, but while NIP have certainly struggled, they have always been a really good Cafe team. So if you're, like, sure, you lose 7-3 to NIP, but a lot of teams have lost 7-3 to NIP on Cafe in particular.
Who would expect the grueling team to work well on the grueling map?
Exactly. Like, they might struggle on a lot of other things, but the utility map where everybody's slow, well, NIP will succeed just fine there. But FearX up 1-0. And Black Dragons, I mean, I think they are very aware, and I think the pressure is starting to get to them. We saw them in a similar moment to this, actually, in the playoffs in Stage 1. We thought in Brazil, all the way back in March and April, that this team had the shot to qualify back then, and they just collapsed. First round of the playoffs, lost. LCQ out of the picture, didn't even make the finals. And now, while they might have made it to the major, think about how they were reacting after some of those rounds. Not screams, not cheers, but sighs of relief. Ask taking a deep breath, holding his chest. I mean, Black Dragons, it is clear that the pressure is starting to get to them. Not to say they can't recover, but their comfortable territory is gone. They're on FearX's turf to save.
Absolutely. And I think that's the big thing here for FearX. They've faced so many insurmountable moments that now it's just like, all right, well, we can kind of just play our game. There's really no pressure in a situation
What are we
like
going to do? Get eliminated?
Again? Oh, no. It's almost like we've been here before. So, yeah, there's really no pressure for them in that regard, Carter. I guess that is one luxury of having a situation like FearX have had for the last 4 years. I know that's a crazy amount of time in esports terms, but I mean, I guess that is the one positive thing that you can pull from that. They're not fearful of going home because they've had it happen to them so many times that now in a moment like this, they're probably giddy at the end of the day to just be like, oh my gosh, there's actually a moment where not only can we make it out of Phase 1, but we get to do it up against a really solid Brazilian squad, and let alone that fact. But now it comes down to our map choice as well. A lot of things boding well for FearX and their fans at home. I know that this roster has had fans for years internationally, and this might finally be their moment here to shine.
I guess if you even want to be specific, I wanted to check real quick because I think they actually made it technically out of groups at SI, and they did, but they went out immediately. And also, SI is a bit of a different format, but like still when it comes to majors, this team has struggled, and still this team made it out of groups, but then went out immediately in the 13th to 16th place spot. They are still looking at these international tournaments to make a more compelling run. And just to even talk about, before we get into the op bands and the nitty-gritty, about what this means for Korea, a region that like has really struggled for a long time. You know, D plus Kia for the briefest of moments seemed like they could be one of the first APAC teams really to make like a compelling major run all the way back at Sweden, one round away from actually making that final, beating FaZe. And we've yet to see a team really live up to that. D plus Kia fallen off, or Sandbox, now FearX struggling to enter the spotlight, and Talon might have led the way. But really, if FearX are able to make this run, we're starting to look to D plus Kia to say, what can you do? Is the Korean scene finally, not saying they're going to win, but is there finally some development in what has been one of the most struggling regions in the history of Rainbow Six? We'll have to see, and FearX could make that argument right now on their pick of Cafe. Rin looking to get aggressive outside of the Christmas window. Once he's shot at, not much you can do.
Rin?
Never mind, he's
Rin?
going for seconds.
And thirds at this point. Gave the initial look, window gets broken a little bit, pops a couple shots, then comes back to see if there's anybody that he can potentially remove from the map very early here. Nothing doing for FearX, but setting a good precedent. We are not going to allow you to take this map in any sense of the term. Mephi's so very aggressive here. Might get two. Knows this player's still outside.
Oh, my Lord. He gets it!
BD, what are we doing?
Talk about a team not feeling the pressure. Mephi and Rin going for the double swing outside of the building, and now Hornet in a double crossfire. Hornet banks the nade around, and Rin says, all right, if I die, you are coming with me. 4v2 as we just reach a minute into round 1. FearX, if they came to play on Consulate, they have come to win on Cafe.
Well, just from that, you know what the conversation was from Dark during that in-between break, huh?
Do not let up.
Do not let up, and just don't, in any sense of the term, just keep your foot on their necks. Like, you have to keep this pressure up. It's getting insurmountable for Black Dragons. This anxiety is building, and the last thing you want to do is come into a map like Cafe and be like, all right, we're just going to let them go through their natural clear and get this burn going and all this stuff. No. Immediate pressure. That's what you're looking for, and that's what they've gotten. It's now down to these 2 remaining players for Black Dragons, Carter, and it seems like an impossible task.
And think about what it means for Black Dragons as well, who are clearly, at least by my reading of their body language and their tone, seem to be a bit rattled by the pressure when right out the gate, a team that for a long time was a laughingstock in Rainbow Six is ego peeking you and winning every single fight.
Especially moments like that.
Yeah.
Like that was an alien situation for them. They would never do something like that, and now they've found nothing but success with this round off that aggression.
Exactly, and just FearX again proving that. Okay. All right, well, good boy might be caught a bit lacking on that bomb chassis. The Nook stealthing quite well into the site. But FearX still with that lead, still performing very well in this round. Florio will hit the drop, but needing to break that barricade. They'll know he's here, but Ask has got a really important position. These Yokais are very important for this round, but a nade going deep will force them to cross.
Oh.
But not only does he make it out, he makes it back in. He can go back on that Yokai drone and try to stop it from planting behind the B bomb chassis. I don't believe he shot it. No, maybe he has. He will go back to Flick. We'll try to move into Freezer, but the diffuser will go down. The time is far too low. Demic will take the coverage, and now it's a 1v3 for Florio. We'll see the Yokai, the intel relaying to FearX where he is, and this man is stuck in Freezer, full reinforced. 2-piece for the Goyo. Everybody from FearX coming to get a piece of the action in that 3v1. The counter defuse succeeds. FearX with the first.
I mean, just what a call from Dark. I love everything that we see, the discussion that must have been had in between these maps really showing off in that first round, Carter. And that's exactly what you need. I mean, I know we already kind of crossed this bridge, but it's the entire story of round 1. FearX getting on the gas, getting in the faces of Black Dragons, and not allowing them to have a single sector of the map without at least giving up a body or 2. And FearX get away with that flawlessly, practically. They end up losing, what, 1 body to the 4, or rather 3 that we see out of Black Dragons. That is exactly what you want out of a defensive start here on Cafe. And now it's going to lead into Black Dragons having a lot of questions. Are we going to have FearX be on this aggressive tone for the majority of their half? Are we going to see them slow things down? There's going to be a lot of soul searching for BD going forward into this offensive half.
Yeah, literally the only 2 deaths they have. I mean, you have Rin getting naded, who then traded his own death by taking down the guy that threw the nade at him.
It's so beautiful.
And then you lose that Warden, who, the Nook is just lurking up long hallway that probably evaded any cams they had in that position, no barbed wire as well, and dies. And it's like, okay, well, we have 4 people alive, so really you dying helped us, because now we know where that Nook is. So everything to be gained from the deaths, the very few that FearX suffered. And starting out on the defense, maybe it doesn't mean a lot to anybody else, but for them, just to start off with the win to keep that momentum going from Consulate, they're going to feel very good. And I also like you start off with those spawn peaks last time, and They're still roaming, but nobody's trying to get overconfident now. We do see a little breakage at the windows, but Rin's not going back for a second or a third peek. Mephi's not in a position for a run out right now, but we'll see what FearX decide to do later in the round. So any intel they might have with the Valkyrie on the board could influence plays like that.
Love this pacing change that we're seeing from FearX. This is exactly what you'd expect after that initial round, but that's the issue here for Black Dragons as well, folks. This is not something that you can go, oh, they didn't swing us off the window, so obviously it's going to be a turtle setup. They're going to try and play this closer to the site. They're not going to be as aggressive.
It's not black and white.
Exactly. You still have to go through the motions, don't you, Carter? You have to do that discovery. You have to get these drones in and try and figure out how FearX have set up this top floor. And a little bit more of an aggressive motion here from Rin as they'll fly out, I do believe, the dining window, but make it back in safely at the bottom of white.
Nobody that actually cut him off. I kind of got worried that somebody might already be in reading. But Black Dragon's fully focused on the cigar side right now. Good boy, peek after peek, peek. Well, nade will go out, but he will get back up, thankfully, with that stim pistol. And, ooh, IQ, Nux. I don't know about that one, buddy. Really a silly decision there, especially now that Rin has killed the guy on white rappel. Black Dragon's just fumbling a stalemate and now giving FearX the lead after Nova went down. Such an important operator on that smoke. I mean, this is a bit of a rough spot. Gudo will try to push forward. The Doc playing a bit further on Pixel. He'll make his way into Freezer. Find two inside the site. And Mephi's on the opposite side. It's just Demic inside a Cocktail who's got to hold on for dear life. Flashbang goes in. Oh, everyone's just dead. Black Dragons looked awfully silly there for a second, but everybody else, especially Gudo, able to land the shots and keep their guns up.
I mean, that was really the only thing that they could do, and to be honest with y'all, that was not going to be great at the end of the day.
If that didn't happen, it's looking rough.
Yeah, and even given that circumstance, when your only option is, hey, my Gridlock's going to crouch walk into Freezer and try and kill the guy in bathroom, things are not looking up for you. They're not looking up at all. So Gudo, very fortunate at the fact that not only is he able to remove that bathroom player, but gets the flick onto the ladder as well. So he's able to get that big pickup on the second player too, completely blowing the doors off of FearX and what they'd already built up for that round.
And I also want to say as well, kind of like going back to Nux's play, sprinting into the dock, you know, I think that is a lot of instinct and emotion taking over that moment, realizes it's the dock, realizes it might not finish him off. So he sprints in to check, but as we saw, Gudo walk through, you know, the Freezer rotate hole, but that angle was watching the IQ as she crossed as well. It's very possible that Demic, the Aruni playing Cocktail, could have just taken down the IQ anyway, even if she got that trade. So obviously, you know, at least in that case, the IQ gets the kill, but still really giving yourself away and walking right into the defense when, you know, it does suck that you might not get the kill, but maybe should have played it safer. I think also as well, if we never really did talk about the op bans, but on that side in particular, the castle, with Black Dragons banning that, you've basically taken out one of the two big categories of Cocktail defense, right? You bring a castle, you extend into stage. If you don't have a castle, it's pretty hard to do that. You kind of got to play on Pixel, unless there's an Azami, which FearX also banned, so not much you can do. So Black Dragons know a lot of what FearX are going to do on that site, but still, even then, the emotion getting the best of them in certain situations.
Very representative of that moment right there. The antsiness in full display.
One Mozzie pest disabled.
And yeah, we don't get to see all that much Mozzie anymore, but he did get some recent buffs, so makes him a little bit more potent as to what he was in previous patches, and that's why you're going to start seeing him a little bit more. Might start getting back to the mute Mozzie method, as I like to call it. Not so much in this round. We won't have the mute in to try and deny any walls or any info utility from coming through. We'll have the Evil Eyes, though, to kind of assist in that regard. I was going to say a decent amount of damage from onto Ask, but a new screen flash that we've gotten in these recent patches kind of doing me in on that. It's going to get down to the 4 versus 4 here, though, as we're going to continue to try and get a pickup on this top floor.
And good boy, the player playing aggressively in Pixel shut down, but Ran actually going to retake the position. Our Black Dragon's aware of this.
All on timing.
Yeah, Ram hears somebody
nice
confusing,
shots.
and I think Ren actually baited by the sound a little bit, but Hornet not letting up off the pace. Will almost find 2. Maybe even a third could take that fight as Demic starts moving up the white stairs. Hornet cuts his losses, falls off. Gudo is just in reading room, though I think this site might actually be mining. To be honest, it doesn't really matter. I mean, he's just watched 2 people rotate down white, though the moment has actually evaded him. Headhole opened up in the laundry wall, and Mephi is still caught off guard by it. Gudo has just found these gaps 2 rounds in a row to make an even situation. Black Dragons favored. Demic, low HP, will have full intel on 1 very briefly. Spray will bait Gudo into peeking, but the trade is right around the corner. Black Dragons, with the first time in a long while since round, what, 1, maybe 3? No, round 1.
Yeah.
The start of this series.
Yep.
Finally have a lead again.
Gotta feel good. Gotta feel good after that. I think the admin might have told the coach as well. Like, oh, are we already having a timeout? Oh my God, FearX. They're gonna call a tactical timeout. For a split second there, I thought the admin was like, "Hey, you're yelling kind of loud, man." Like,
no, you can't do that. They can have a decibel monitor sitting there. Like, it's a bit too high.
Yeah. Better keep that down. Dull roar. That's what we're looking for. But no, FearX is going to call their tac timeout. And why wouldn't you? These last 2 rounds have been very shoddy. And the reason for that is mostly these gaps that have been discovered by Gudo. I mean, we go back to the previous round, not even the one that we just saw, but the one before that. And it's exactly what I said it was. Gudo, all he did was crouch walk into freezer. This is something that we should have covered. This is something that should not be allowed, but he still gets away from a 2K in that moment and proceeds to kill the last player in that round as well. These are things that FearX cannot allow to exist on Cafe defenses. These are things you must nip in the bud. And that's what they'll look to do on these rounds as we continue on to our second quarter, if you want to call it that, of this game.
Maybe not really an operator you can easily incorporate onto this site, but when we see Cocktail or Reading Room or Mining again, maybe one operator you could bring is the Mira to maybe alleviate that problem.
Yeah.
As basically, aside from this site, defending Cocktail plays a role, or having a presence in Cocktail or the 3rd floor plays a role in every other one on this map. And given that mining is viable, it might be something worthwhile to do. You place a black mirror on the Cocktail side. You can not only contest the long angles into stage if you want to, but you can also just stop anybody from walking up long bar or walking and finding a gap in freezer like we just talked about. So I'm curious if they will make that change later on. Should address, by the way, the good boy prone inside of the site just now, likely trying to hide the Maestro. We saw a lot of changes. What we've resulted on is not really anybody, aside from the nades, I suppose, that could deal with that Maestro, but we have seen a little bit of Brava action, a little bit of Twitch action in the previous round from Black Dragon, so their only option will be to destroy those Evil Eyes.
It'll be pretty rough for them. A lot of info utility here for FearX, especially with these Valkyrie cameras working their way in. Pretty creative spot there for Rin.
The light makes it so difficult to see. I remember on Oregon, you used to be able to, like, throw it. Maybe it was on the old one, and it would basically just, like, meld with the light bulb, kind of.
You can still do that on Clubhouse Basement with the light bulb that protrudes from the top of Dirt Tunnel.
Yeah, it's super cheesy and annoying, but I do love that. It just makes it so difficult to spot.
I still use that one, and honestly, that that camera spot for Valkyrie on Clubhouse has been around since, like, 2018, 2017, so
Ooh.
that one's got some gears to it now, but an oldie but a goodie, folks, so feel free to take that from my arsenal and add it to yours. Minute in here, though, for Black Dragons as they are looking a lot more confident in these clears.
I see some damage exchange. Obviously, Hornet lighting Mephi up on that vertical angle down to the bottom of Red Stairs, and as he tries to catch up to him, there's actually a hole made in the floor. Not sure. I believe that might have been from a C4, as certainly one has been used right there. I think it was actually an impact grenade from Demic. We'll light Hornet up just a little bit, then a C4 will put Florio at a very low HP, so Black Dragons just softened a little bit as we move through the mid-round. But all they're doing is trying to acquire vertical destruction. At this point, they need to make a decision. Do you want to go freezer? Do you want to go bakery? Usually at this point, you'll go freezer. But there might be some VIP pressure you have to concern yourself with, even though there's no deployable shield.
Ding, ding. That's the biggest thing right there, right? That VIP position is of the utmost importance if you do want to try and go for that freezer attack, mostly because they can encroach on that freezer wall. They can also try and assist with some things working their way in from booths or brown stairs, wherever that secondary swath of players are going to try and work their way in from, because you don't want to be a one-trick pony. You do not want a one-fronted assault when it comes to Rainbow Six. 9 times out of 10, that does mean that things are going very poorly for you. We'll have to see what Black Dragons can potentially produce. It's looking like the freezer job is coming pretty quick, but they have an answer for this white position. It's actually going to be the Osa here, going to try and shield things up and make life a little bit easier.
Ooh, Evil Eye will be revealed, but what a shot right there. Oh my god, there was a second behind that ops blocker. Nade will go in. They've got more than enough time to deal with this, so that Evil Eye should go down as a result, and Nux just moves on in with the diffuser. This is the man with the diffuser. Smoke grenade goes out, but oh, it goes a little too far. Not even a little bit of damage done to Nux. Nova will land a successful retake, but they are ready for it. Downed on the swing in the freezer. Rin might find a nice frag, but Black Dragons with a strong lead. Good
Wow.
boy. Might land that one with the Bailiff, but we've got vertical destruction. Unfortunately, that Black Dragon should be able to hold. Or even maybe they can drop Freezer if they want, as Good Boy now reaching towards the end.
Oh!
What? You're kidding me, man! How do you get away with that? You know he's there! There's only one spot he can be! You've got an angle on that position! What are we doing?
Oh my god. Oh my god, guys. Oh, Black Dragons, what are we doing here? That's rough. Also, that was almost bingo right there. That was almost a bingo square out of Carter.
Don't worry, Manic already cursed.
Did he really?
He didn't say that, but that was. I almost had to put a quarter in the swear jar.
Oh,
after what just happened that round. That was woo.
Well, you're definitely going to be cleaning that laptop screen. I can tell you that.
Oh yeah. I can't even see it. Thin film over the top now. So
get it out. Get it out. Get it out.
Oh
Come on.
God.
Walk over here. Sit down. Talk to me. What's going on?
No, if I sit down, I'm gonna explode. I'm gonna combust, Sam. I'm literally, the fire is gonna emanate from me and it's gonna consume me.
Oh Lord. Oh man.
Oh my God. I mean, rounds like that happen. It really is a bummer, but like. Dude, I know it's a bit of a deep angle, but like.
We're still in our first best of 3 of the day, too. Like, after that round, I already need a beer. Like, this is ridiculous.
I'll say this, though. I will say this. Obviously, like, that is an insane and unfortunate loss right there from Black Dragons. And even then, let's be honest, even though I might have laid into him a little bit, that pre-fire comes like half a second earlier. He probably does land it. Probably does win that round. Still did come very, very close. And at the same time, everything before that was Black Dragons. Yeah. So far, they have looked like the better team on this half end. That might have been a crazy moment right there, but really this should be 3-1 with how these rounds have gone overall, and we really still need to see a more compelling argument from FearX.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Black Dragons has done a really good job of presenting a solid offensive assault and made life much easier for themselves in a lot of different instances, but inside of these last rounds, specifically this one, as of right now, the picks are not going their way. They're going to end up losing to Ask. That's been their best player thus far throughout the series. They're going to try and work their way in through hell. Rin's going to get another big kill. And that's the thing, folks. What are we doing, Black Dragons? This is why you've been making me angry throughout this series. We don't know that anybody is in pillars. We don't have any of this information readily available, but yet we are trying to execute onto the bomb site. That's just very disappointing. I'm just going to be honest. That's not what you want to see, and it's not going to find you any success on a map like Cafe. This map is very congested, although it is large, given the fact that it's 3 stories. So Hornet's going to get a nice kill to try and bring them back into the good graces of the Siege Gods, but I highly doubt that this works out.
I highly doubt as well, though I gotta say FearX are being a little liberal with the angles they're taking right now. The guy in train poked his head out for a second. The guy in red did too.
Oh, come on.
And they've got time to make this work.
My
oh, my God. Demic might put him to about 1 HP, but he gets punished for it. Good C4 from Rin, pre-placed. That was the guy Pillar. Now the guy Train. That Hornet is hunting down to make this a 1v2. We'll move further into the red hallway. Oh, my Lord. Okay, hold on. No way.
Stop it.
He's such low HP. Surely this is an easy kill for Rin to land. Flashbang will go out. It doesn't even blind him. Lands on the opposite side of the table. FearX guarantee themselves a tie game. And sometimes we kind of wish he did more. But that round, I'm not complaining for the performance Rin put in.
What a game here from Rin so far. And honestly, out of the games that we have had so far for FearX, this has been the best showing that Rin has had. So very excited for him and what he's been bringing to the table for FearX. But speaking of fear, you got to be fearful for Black Dragons and what the hell has been going on these offensive sides, because, man, it is not a good look. This is the same team that was so dominant up against, Furia in a lot of different moments inside of their best of 3 to close out the LCQ for Brazil, that honestly I thought that this was just going to be more of a pretty easy moment here for them inside of this first phase here in Montreal, but instead we're getting the exact opposite. FearX is challenging Black Dragons in a lot of different ways, and really the only thing that we've seen them pull lever-wise is hero plays. They're just trying to go for these big sweeping moments where they just beat FearX over the head with some crazy play, but yet a lot of these things are going awry. They don't have the information. They don't know what these players are, and let alone that fact, FearX is punishing them left, right, and center from these different areas.
I will say, though, to provide a little bit of a counter-narrative, I think at the same time, you could make an argument that FearX have really relied a lot on that as well. I was literally about to say, how many times in the rounds that FearX have won, has the big moment really been, wow, look at all those kills they got early on, but specifically outside the building. Either spawn peeking, usually outside of the snow door, actually, both times now. It's where Mephi got both of his kills all the way back in round 1. It's where Rin just got most of his kills in round 5. And then aside from that massive clutch and counter defuse in round 4, it has been FearX that they're able to get a lot of kills early on at an entrance to the building or outside entirely. That is where they've succeeded. When it's come to actually just like playing the defenses and repelling the Black Dragon's attacks, once they are in the building, once they do have that intel, it has been very, very difficult. So I do agree that when it's come to some of the faster plays, Black Dragons seem to be going a bit half-cocked. When FearX do let them get set up, they need hero plays to bail them out. C4 goes forth, and
oh my God,
the third double C4 kill for FearX this game. Ask will land the trade, but Good Boy is already worth his weight in gold. I would do it. Rin, the intrusive thoughts win! The voices command it, and Rin will deliver. Ask the only one left. 2 kills for the ARX. Z-Ping right on 1, just a little bit above the Maestro. Nova will move deeper into Train, actually just move further into the round. 4-2 for FearX. That clutch going a long way to give them a lead at the swap.
Wow, just wow. What a defensive half there from FearX, shutting down Black Dragons in a lot of different instances, but mostly when they were getting highly aggressive to start off the round. That last one kind of stands in stark contrast to what we had been seeing. I will definitely say that that was not the most crazy aggressive round there from Black Dragons. They were just trying to deliver on that top level, but who really delivered at the end of the day, Carter? It was FearX. Just getting kills left, right, and center, and especially yet again a warhead essentially in the pockets of FearX. Yes, it's actually just absurd. I have never seen this level of success with nitro cells in my damn life.
Have we even seen a C4 just get 1 kill?
Nope.
Like, I'm actually trying to remember, have we seen this entire series a C4 just kill 1 guy, or has it been 2 every time? 3 times. Oh, we did just get 2 rounds ago.
I don't believe him. No, I'm kidding.
And apparently, we did get 1 kill. However, the fact that it's happened 3 times is kind of crazy. It's a little weird.
Yeah.
And FearX, well, they don't really have a whole defensive half offense. It just happened on the final one. It has, though, I will say, even in that case, all the times FearX were successful, they managed to get a lot of kills before Black Dragons even entered the map, and it's not a strategy you can necessarily always bet on, but hey, it happened 3 times, and add in a 1vx there, and you've got a 4-2 half. We'll see how they are on these attacks now as Black Dragons, who are probably feeling cheated out of a couple wins in 1 through 6 overall.
Yeah. I don't think there's a way that you don't. Just a lot of these moments. Perfect time, perfect place for FearX. For Black Dragons, just an unfortunate set of circumstances that they have now fallen to. But doesn't mean that they're out of it just yet. Cafe is a map that predominantly leans towards the defensive side. This top floor can get a little antsy for the defense as it has quick access from the roof, from a lot of different angles too. FearX will look to exploit that. Black Dragons do their best to try and put a few obstacles in front of them. Already have done a decent job inside of this first minute, but it was mostly FearX just seeing if Dragons wanted to try and go about things in a very similar way as what we saw from FearX in their first round with those more aggressive swings.
You realize we never actually saw Mira from FearX on that side. It's like,
yeah,
oh,
we also
didn't
see Dokkaebi. I'm like 90% positive. No, I lied. I wholeheartedly lied directly to your face.
But that's the thing. It like literally didn't have an impact. It's like maybe they got the clear, but overall, it just FearX were just shooting them at the beginning of the round every single time. Ask will find one. The Mephi trades it out soon after. The Black Dragons will bring those mirror windows immediately, and you can see why. They can put pressure on the stage side. Ooh, Nova hits that rappel. It's so risky.
Man.
You just haven't cleared pallets. You haven't even got close to the site. I've seen that a couple times this tournament. People rappelling into that white window when they really shouldn't be, or at least they should take the time a bit to make sure that pallets is clear, because they just swing around and you're so worried about bathroom, you're so worried about everywhere else. Demic, oh, hello, there's somebody close on white stairs. These are common positions we know about. Does he? Oh, no, he doesn't know. Trying to flash up above. Hornet and Nux both get 2. Mephi on the opposite side of the map. Suffering from FearX players, not really giving the respect to some default positions held by Black Dragons. Black Dragons, I mean, they maybe struggled to pick up some must-win rounds on attack, but here, from the beginning to the end, it was round 7 for them, through and through.
Solid patience from them as well. Don't go for any spawn peaks. Force FearX to try and deal with this map clear. And every single step of that map clear, they're punishing them. They're punishing them left and right. I mean, constant bodies falling off the board here for FearX and never really able to get anything going, even post-valiant effort. Especially from what we saw over there on the white windows. I mean, a little bit too aggressive as we saw that swing in through the hallway, but nothing that FearX can't build off of. I mean, if you're able to get some players over in Christmas, maybe you make a situation where you can trade some things out, that might end up going a little bit better for you, but as of right now, it's a little bit too disjointed for them on this offense.
It feels like a bit of an unnecessary risk, especially since you did have not full stage control as there was a mirror window setup, but you had done some work to clear out bathroom, that's why they put the utility there, so you could just allow somebody to repel into stage. And well, you got to be concerned about the mirror windows. At least it's safer than hopping into white, where the only way out is up the hallway or down the hallway, and either way, they can shoot at you until you get beyond their sight, or you just take the fight with them. Cocktail will go Black Dragon's way, or the first bomb site will go Black Dragon's way. We'll go to the mining as the second choice. This new defensive squad, mirror windows back in play in likely the exact same positions, save for no freezer mirror this time on the left side of that wall. I'm actually curious where she is going to put that last one, because everyone puts that one on the freezer wall, like back towards Cocktail, but in this case, we'll decide to put it far back as well.
FearX going to make their way to the roof of Cafe, the traditional starting point for this map. Even when it comes to a basement bomb site, really just want to make sure that life is easy for you and then you're able to get some information on the full breadth of this map, let alone that fact, but a lot of the times verticality playing into these bomb sites is going to be a perfect example of that. That's why Black Dragons is standing so tall on this top floor. You've got to have some semblance of control over Cocktail, and Hornet going to take a lot of damage, but he responds in kind as Mephi will be down to 28 HP.
Kind of fine with that. If you're Mephi, guys playing close to my door with a shotgun.
That's Blitz too? What the hell just happened?
So I'll give Nova credit for some good performances on consulate, but I will say the Nova I saw yesterday, that was happening a little too frequently. Moments where I'm like, you're Blitz. How did you just get shot? I don't know if he overextended or what. I'm assuming he had the diffuser. Is that the reason it's so deep? I think there was maybe just Florio dies to the same position. They are just not respecting this long angle. Walking around Cocktail, taking 1v1s with everybody. Not necessarily a default position, but I can tell you, I've been shot from that angle. Opposite side. Playing Cocktail, somebody takes stage, and then you're just lit up on the Cocktail balcony because you're not playing careful.
Yep.
This time it's the opposite. They're not aware of that deep angle all the way by the balcony, and 2 people die from it, and then Florio just gets a third for good measure on the retreat. 5v2 now. Seems like maybe a bit more even with the damage Mephi and Hornet exchange, but now I really don't know what FearX is going to be able to do.
Yeah, no. For all intents and purposes, this is most definitely a tied ball game. I mean, FearX don't really have a candle to hold to the light of Black Dragons at the current moment. And yeah, it is a 2 versus 5, but it's a quad kill for Florio as he gets that pick up top and does have the potential for the ace up against Good Boy. Good Boy has made his way closer to the bomb site. Going to see this player side of the area. Good Boy will take him down and also hop over. It's going to be Florio for the ace. Congratulations, my friend. Yeah, and a heck of a round for him. Just really no respect on that top floor and what Black Dragons could potentially deliver, and boy, did Florio deliver. 3 kills across the board, and let alone that fact, but also taking out the Blitz in a pretty disrespectful manner, I would say. The only way that I could really break that one down is it more than likely flying into the bomb site, just not really paying attention to that mirrored position that we saw from Florio.
Yeah, just moving into the top floor. They want to establish the early vertical pressure onto the mining and train section below, and to be fair, I don't think it was really like a Nova-specific failing. I mean, we had 2 people blissfully, well, not even blissfully, painfully ignorant of that long angle from the Aruni. The Blitz, I'm assuming, died to it as we didn't see the actual kill, but considering where the Aruni was the entire time, she only left the Cocktail side once she was leaving the Cocktail bar entirely, and that's when she got that 3rd kill on the exit. So Nova might have died in an important operator, but FearX as a whole either unaware or not respectful enough of that angle held by Florio, and he gets an ace on top of that. Didn't even really need to. I mean, really, the 3 kills he already got would have been enough to, like, all right, you're the MVP, you got the round for Black Dragons, but you will get all 5 as a result. Black Dragons now poised to take the lead with the strength of these defenses so far. Cocktail looked good, and while it might have been an individual play from Florio, it was still an overall strategic failing from FearX that enabled him to get that 3K positioned just right.
Yeah, pretty discombobulated. They had a general understanding of what the setup was up top, but I don't think that they knew how valiantly Black Dragons is going to fight for it, specifically Florio, obviously. Been a lot done in that regard. Now FearX forced to go back to the drawing board. And what do they cook up, Carter? Well, something that we don't see all that often. Akali will come into play.
Is Lem's playing? What is this?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Nova will actually end up playing this, and this is somebody that can seemingly make one of the craziest plays you'll ever see in your life, but in the same breath can also fall to pieces and be the very first domino to end up falling for FearX. So we'll see if that ends up being the case here inside of round 9. But this is definitely the time for FearX to try and right their wrongs.
We'll go a long way to counter that Clash. She's so strong right now just because kind of ever since Zofia fell out of favor and before Ashe really re-entered the meta, there weren't a lot of operators that could deal with her where you felt comfortable parting with that utility. Capital Firebolts, for example, could be good for taking her out, but that means you won't have them for the execute, possibly. Callie, you fire one bullet, and you're going to push that Clash back real quick. She's going to get very, very nervous very, very fast, and she can crack those mirror windows as well. So not something you can bring all the time, given the sniper's long range, but in this case, it will serve its uses alongside the Ashe to crack that second mirror window, disabling both important bits of utility on this cocktail side. FearX might need to start speeding things up, though. Minute 16 seconds, and it is still a full 5v5. Not even taking damage, I believe. C4 sent over through the top. Good boy will find one. It's the Clash now, left alone. Want to get this Callie in a position, try and find a way. The Hornet will be the gun that the Clash cannot hold. 4v3, FearX still maintaining that lead. The Clash looking to move back, will wait, try and find any bit of information. Will even still hold a little bit longer. So I'm wondering if some people actually forgot about her as Nova with the SMG-12. Looking to push down white.
A little scary here. Ask will pop the hole in. Oh, he ends up finding Rin.
That's ridiculous.
What a moment out of the secondary shotgun. Gets it down to the 3 versus 3. And FearX have worked so hard to try and make this moment, but the remaining utility is really harsh. It's making it to where Black Dragon's more than likely favored here, although the verticality in favor of FearX.
Yeah, I mean, no EE1Ds, no flashes, both your nades gone. You got the smokes at least, and you popped this Goyo, so you could maybe smoke off Laundry. But even then, I'd be careful smoking off that cross. Somebody might get a bit too deep, a bit too fast. Nux rotates into the position, switches the SMG-12. Matthew with the spray will cut him down. Nova on the entry finds another, but Hornet retaking up top. And they react to it. Look at them rotate, moving all the way from reading. And Matthew will be able to put it down at 000, completely unaware. Hornet, no information going his way. A late rotate by FearX, and it might just save them the round. Pushing down 4th. Will peek that close angle.
Crazy.
Sees the edge of the body, but Mephi reacts quicker. FearX pull a round out of a hat and retake the lead when it seemed all for naught.
It was necessary, Carter. It was a necessary thing, and FearX were able to get it done. Now, what's the big difference between this offense and a lot of the rounds that we'd seen previously? Well, the biggest piece to this puzzle is the fact that they were able to at least stay equal with Black Dragons whilst also trading out for map control. That was a huge deal for them, and also, let alone that fact, but their ability to work their way into the bomb site and use those impact EMPs in a very creative way, Carter. I know that you caught it, but for some people at home, those impact EMPs are actually yet another way of dealing with Clash. If you're able to splash one of those against her shield, she's just another person with a shield staring at you. She can't try and shock anybody. She can't slow you down, and let alone that fact, you might be able to actually encroach on her position, smack that shield, and get that big kill. So instead, Black Dragons try and respond in kind. They try and get that big moment there with the pocket SMG out of the Clash, but nothing doing for them. And unfortunate circumstances, but something positive for FearX. Finally on the offensive half, will proc this timeout from BD, but they're going to have a bit of a discussion as to how they can try and thwart FearX's game plan from here on out.
I think it's important to keep in mind that most of these rounds have been close for FearX. I mean, Black Dragons have certainly been very, very competitive on Cafe overall. That round in particular, sure, FearX were able to have that man advantage for quite a long time, but it was still really, really close in manpower the entire way through. And on that attacking side, I think a couple different decisions are made, and Black Dragons could very well tie the half or even come away with a lead with how close their attacks were. They win 2 defenses. They look very, very strong on both of them. And now FearX have the lead, but this is the issue with dropping that pick. This is the issue with losing Consulate, just going down 1-0. It can be really, really close, but as long as FearX just are 1% better in a couple rounds, they could close this out 8-7. They could close it out 7-5. Black Dragons need to be more than what they are right now, and I think that's why they take the tactical timeout. It's not that they're playing bad, but it is just that FearX are competitive enough to win rounds when they might not have a right to otherwise. So many good defenses so far. You've had good success overall. Bar Cocktail and Fireplace all going your way, or Mining, excuse me, all going your way. And so now, I believe it's actually the first time we've seen Black Dragons go kitchen so far.
Yeah. Something that FearX are well aware of. The blitz working. Being able to take space throughout the map will definitely make life a lot easier, but Demic also working in on the fuse. This is a map that, or rather a bomb site, that plays very heavily into the favor of cluster charges. We don't get to see him all that often, but he's definitely become more of a known quantity here in the last year, given the buff that shields have gotten, and the fact that Fuse does have one of those shields. He's had one since the very beginning of Rainbow Six Siege, all the way back 9 years ago. And that piece of utility, if you really want to call it that, has been the biggest piece to his puzzle.
Oh, he's not even aware. Florio's really looking the opposite way. Smoke canister goes out. Demic gets the control for free. It is a slaughter on the first floor. Hornet fired a couple shots through the smoke, and he's out of ammo! But with a quick draw, one shot to the head, John Wicks entered the building. 2v4 now, and Mephi at 18 HP. Hornet has just saved the round for Black Dragons and maybe even denied FearX match point. As Rin has the vertical angle, but they do not have diffuser. Ask is sitting on it like a nest egg. FearX will need to take some time to figure their way out of this 2v2.
Now life has all of a sudden became very difficult.
Oh, what are you doing?
That's the timing! Ask! Oh, I think he was trying to reinforce the rotate. Try and make their lives a little bit easier over on the coffee side, but they might have just given up the round, Carter.
I think we're just overthinking it. Like, I get the play, and if it works out, you know, it's a lot easier to hold Bakery, but you are so exposed, and you know their top floor. You know they're up there. That's where Rin got some of those kills. That's where Rin was firing shots.
So many angles to worry about, man. So many angles, and that's the big thing there. I'm in total agreement with you. That's a risk that you're really just not willing to take in a circumstance like that. When it's down to a 2v2 and your life is basically gold. I mean, very rough.
It's very rough. Rin just around the corner, trying to give information to Mephi. This is a good use of the Zoto canister. We'll even see the pre-position. He'll down him. Hornet might just be the man to save this for Black Dragons. As Mephi moves further up Small Bake, he'll have to hit that barricade. He'll give away information. The DMR hits like a truck, but one shot from a pistol would be his undoing! And the headshot is good enough! One bullet to save it. Black Dragons almost sell their dreams away, but Hornet, the man of the hour, keeps them in the game.
I know we've been singing the praises of Ask a lot for this BD squad, but you know who's been a very close second for this roster? It's got to be Hornet. Hornet, time and time again, has not only been consistent, but he's been concise in the way that he's been capable of delivering for Black Dragons. And yet another moment there. Look at how creative he gets with those Zoto canisters as well, folks. I know we talk about it all the time when it comes to breaching and the fact that he can ice down those exothermics and the rest of the hard breach utility, but something that we don't see all that often is them utilized in gunfights like that, where you're able to really slow down your opponent and make it to where they are not such a quick target to deal with, and that more than likely gets him that kill onto Ram. I mean, Ram not able to really work that angle in the way that they want to, and it ends up getting taken down by that DMR on a very tight angle from Prep. A huge moment there for BD, a huge moment there for Hornet.
And I just want to highlight Hornet as well. I mean, he's a bit of a strange player in that I think a lot of people, even some casual viewers, are probably very familiar with his name. You have heard him before. He's been on a lot of teams in Brazil, and when you're thinking that to yourself, you might forget the fact that this is one of his only international events in his entire career. I wanted to check to make sure, because, I mean, it's a pretty important stat, so I wanted to fact check real quick. But yeah, Hornet has been playing in Tier 1. He's played for Black Dragons before. He's been playing for 5 years.
Yep.
This is his first international event, I believe. Such a tenured player. He's played on Ints, Black Dragons, Keyed Stars, Last Stage, the team I thought might very well qualify to a major. And yet Hornet, despite being a valued member of all of those rosters, he still has not been able to get the spotlight that he deserves. And 14-5 right now, he's been a rock for this roster when some of the more rookie players have struggled. He's the player keeping Black Dragons competitive right now, not just in that round, but like I said, 14-5, barely anybody positive on this side. They're actually wishing they got that round. Nova almost quick enough to land that kill, but he's the only one that takes damage in the engagement. Very cheeky drone on Cocktail. We'll see the Aruni moving around. But FearX still have a lot to do. Still a lot of work to try and take match point.
A lot of time still left in round 11. FearX trying their best on this top floor, trying to gather information and see which way they can try and work themselves into this puzzle. This entire top floor has been set up to the absolute hilt. See the laser gates, the mirror windows, let alone that fact, but the Wamais to back that up too, making life pretty difficult for this offense as they are being begged to clear out some of these harder positions. Think of the things like Pixel, think of things like Cocktail when it comes down to it. All things that are question marks for FearX at the current moment as Black Dragons are starting to look for some responses that they could build upon here in the dying moments of round 11.
You don't even need to respond to anything. I mean, nothing's happened. You're trying to preempt things, be proactive, but FearX have not put forth any sort of argument.
Oh, no way.
As starts walking up, and Nova's just unaware. He's been at this doorway for like 8,000 years, and Diffuser just dropped at the top of the staircase. Demic will fall down off the roof and immediately get that trade, but Ask is fine with that. You've taken away a Twitch, and more importantly, you've just taken away a body. You were already off-site. There were already 4 players here. FearX were needing Nova to set up to start taking Nubalk and put this case down. They just hop over the balcony, and they've not even droned Hornet. There is no information whatsoever. We are flying blind in round 11. Mephi will pop off the barbed wire just to get traded. Black Dragons have started smothering FearX, and the consistency finally pays off.
Really bad moment there for FearX. Not the way that you want your opening portion of the round to go there. If you can even really call it that with the given timing that we had left, right? Sub-minute, FearX tries to work their way in on that top floor, trying to gain access via Cigar. But instead what we get is a flank from Ask that is essentially a powder keg for the rest of Black Dragons to blow FearX out of the water. And they don't really have anything to try and, get themselves back into the race inside of that round. FearX not really capable of finding a pick. Didn't really have any map control to their name either. In fact, once Black Dragons carves them out of the Christmas side of things, a lot of FearX just flying through windows, hatches, and skylights. And they get punished left, right, and center. Nothing really to be done for them in that regard, especially as it all boils down to one lone soul trying to bring things back across the line for them. And yeah, we've seen some solid things out of these players in the past, but really the only clutch moment that we've seen go off without a hitch was Ask in the basement of Consulate. And past that, it has been a very difficult thing for both of these teams to try and make the most out of those moments. And now Black Dragons, speaking of moments, looking to take away the entirety of Map 2 away from FearX on their map choice and push us on to Map 3.
It's just been a rough cafe overall for FearX. This game could very well be over for Black Dragons. I mean, it could be a 7-4. Think if that pre-fire lands just half a second sooner on that kitchen attack for Black Dragons. They have won FearX's pick, and we're talking about the trends in the overall series that we watch and how it sets up for Map 3, but FearX have really only been competitive in a lot of those rounds where either luck or timing or even patience and composure and skill have gone their way in individual localized moments. On these defenses, Black Dragons have looked better. The first 2 rounds looked really good. They drop reading, in all fairness, but that was still a late rotation and a good call from FearX. But aside from that Hornet clutch, all of these defenses, Black Dragons have looked better. Black Dragons have looked better on this second half. And somebody who's really struggled is Nova so far. 10-9 on the last game, but with those shield plays he had on Consulate, he was very high impact, very needed by FearX. Here, 3-8, constantly dying with a diffuser, constantly failing to create space. They might pop the weird mirror window, and Florio might take a lot of damage. FearX will fill it soon after, but Black Dragons still leave the roam on relatively their own terms.
Reinforcement still to apply as we'll be shutting down a couple of these angles. Obviously decently late into the round, but that's one that can definitely make things a little bit easier as you do have those angles played over towards white, but you don't really want them to play those back in on itself. from that landing towards the top level. So end up using that reinforcement to take that angle away, but it's still a 5v5 as we get down to the last minute. FearX have been able to negotiate top floor control and some information on the bomb site, but that doesn't mean that Black Dragons don't have a lot of responses still in the tank.
There's still 5 players on the board. You can rotate the Solus down below to deny the plant 2. No impacts. You got the shotgun. You can still use that verticality to your advantage. And with FearX taking so long, a benefit you have, you can just start ratting. You can try to catch them off guard. Again, Nova shot in the side. Cade baiting the blitz in. And like a Venus flytrap, swallows FearX inside of Dining. Matthew will find an important couple kills, but Good Boy up top, all he can do is relay the information, and Ask is unmovable inside of Terrain. Good Boy finds him, and the only hope is the low HP. 1-player pillar, direct information, the vault drop, the sound cue comes out, a must-win fight for Good Boy. Starts sprinting, can't even win it. 1 bullet does the trick, 7-5 for Black Dragons. Map 3 in the cards, and FearX's chance might have just slipped away.
And it's unfortunate for FearX, really. I mean, Black Dragons having a very solid understanding of these defenses and exactly how FearX is going to tick. From the very start, constantly at the necks of FearX and making life extremely complicated. Rin not having too good of a time here, as you can see. FearX getting up from the bench, but a heck of a game for Ren at the end of the day. I do believe he ended up 13-10 or 14-10, one of the two. But either way, just not the results that they were hoping for going into their map choice.
And it's a lot of that map is, especially on FearX's attacks, is further evidence of the phenomenon that not only, you know, did Rob and I said yesterday, but also that we saw very briefly on Consulate because it was overall successful. But if Nova is not able to have impact on that shield, a lot of that old FearX starts coming to the forefront. The slowness, the lack of problem solving. We did see quite a bit of it on Bank and even in some cases on Consulate, but there are just moments where if they take 2 minutes, 2 minutes 15, and are going into a 5v5 execute, and Nova's not able to get a kill or push an anchor out of a position, he just gets shot in the head like he did quite a few times throughout that game. I mean, it just seems like FearX struggle for responses. And if you want to take a look at the stats, I mean, Nova lowest rated player for FearX, and Rin's efforts, Mephi's efforts as well, not as good at Consulate, but Rin's efforts especially, all for naught in the end.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. It's feast or famine right now for Nova here at this tournament, and we just need more out of the shield play. I mean, we've been beating this horse for what seems like ages now, given the current iteration of how shields have been able to be played due to the patch and just how potent they are. And with that being said, you need more out of your shield player, just bar none. You need more out of Nova in a situation like this, and it's a 7-5 victory for Black Dragons, but just think if Nova has impact in a couple of these rounds that we see on offense out of that blitz shield, we could be seeing it a clean 2-0 victory out of FearX. But that's going to do it, folks, for Map 2. We'll be back with Map 3 after a short break.
Ouais, choc-les. Choc-les. Ouais, choc-les, choc-les, choc-les. Ouais, voilà ce qu'ils me disent. Je les entends parler et ils m'édisent. J'arrête que pour rappeler la mise. Petit pas sur la piste. Et le succès, je l'ai pisté. Disent que la place du premier. Je fais monter la côté. Sur moi, tu mises gros. Tu connais déjà l'équipe. Ça criera au complot. Je prends le double, on est quitté. Je fais la magie des chiffres. La somme, je la triple. La concurrence, la dribble. Et le stade est en délire. Ça fait choquer, j'arrive pour tous les choquer. Toute la foule elle est choquée. J'espère que t'es accroché. Gauche, droite, esquive les rageux. Coach m'a rajouté du temps de jeu. Dans l'action, ouais, je me sens en feu. Je suis on fire. Je fais la différence au compteur. Money time, ça shoot sur le buzzer. Je suis on fire. Choqué, j'arrive pour tous les choquer. Toute la foule elle est choquée. J'espère que t'es accroché. Choqué, j'arrive pour tous les choquer. Toute la foule elle est choquée. J'espère que t'es accroché.
Well, FearX had it so close. A strong victory on Consulate and a very close scoreline on Cafe, but undeniably Black Dragons hit their stride on that second half, and now Lair will be the decider if FearX get to push forward finally for the first time in ages, or if Black Dragons will make good on that LCQ run.
Pretty crazy world we're living in right now, honestly, especially with the two maps that we've seen. I really thought we were going to see a little bit of a better FearX on Cafe.
Yeah.
But to now have it all end on Lair, that's where things are going to get pretty odd.
It is kind of funny in hindsight, considering, because I brought this up, at least based on the available stats I had. I mean, I was only able to find, two FearX games happening in the South Korea League where they played Cafe, and they lost both of them. Lost both of them in regulation. And two domestic opponents. One to a domestic opponent, then one to NIP, months ago, all the way back in February. So clearly feeling more confident on that map now, and it was a closer scoreline, a better result comparatively, but still a regulation loss, and Black Dragons just overall looking like the better team on Cafe. I suppose you could say the same. FearX certainly looking like the better team on Consulate, but as we go to Lair, this was an important map for Black Dragons in the LCQ. It's their highest preference map, and it's because even though they never played it, they never banned it basically a single time in the entire stage, brought it out in a key moment, and were able to begin a lot of that LCQ run with a victory on this map. So, of course, it's comfortable territory for FearX, but it has a lot of meaning and a lot of positive meaning for Black Dragons.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's the most worrisome thing about the situation that we have currently in the server. FearX are definitely not on even ground, especially with the fact that Black Dragons gets to start things off on the defensive side. This has quickly became a very worrisome prospect for them, as Black Dragons can start off with an absolute just crazy half, something like a 5-1, and just make their life very easy on the offensive side, where they've looked to be the more put together of these two teams. Now, granted, a lot of these offenses for both teams have not been all that great, but Black Dragons have them by a decent margin, I would say.
And, this is another map that Black Dragons did play earlier, important context as well, played it against G2, and was another case where they had a very solid lead on the defense, and then, unfortunately, it slipped away. Though the funny thing is, they also ran to the score on defense the first time we saw them play Lair in the Brazil League in the LCQ against Keydstars, and it was a 5-1 defensive half, and they were able to just win enough attacks to, in the end, a minority, but still enough, to close that map out 7-4. So both times we've seen Black Dragons play this map, it has been 5 rounds of the defense. One time, they were able to win 2 attacks, and that was enough. The other time, well, the other team gave them a run for their money on their defenses. That was G2 earlier, and it was a close 7-8 loss. We'll see what FearX is able to do. They've got some good results on this map as well, but again, a lot of it is against those domestic Korea League opponents. I'd certainly say a victory over Challenge they were able to achieve is something very good to look at, but Black Dragons, the emotions are hot. They've got the momentum. We'll see how FearX are able to do. Like you said earlier, they've been in this position before, but it started to gnaw at you. Was Cafe your moment? It was your pick, and did you just let it slip away?
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing here. We won't have that answer until we get into layer, but just imagine the stress, the weight on the shoulders of this FearX roster. This is something that's been an insurmountable thing time and time again. And yes, you've had your moments where you've been able to punch through the clouds, but even then, it's been a very quick and very gloomy day past that, right? So they're looking to kind of right these wrongs that they've had on a year-to-year basis here on layer. A fresh-faced map here for the competitive scene, but something that we've grown to, I would say, kind of love a little bit here in the last 6 months, you know, and I will be the first one to tell y'all, I did not like this map. I really didn't. And to this day, I still really don't like the basement all that much, but that's besides the point. It's something that's definitely grown on me, and one that will be the ending of our best of 3 here today.
And something that FearX need to be comfortable on. They need to like it. They need to love this map. They need to eat it morning, day, and night if they want to come out on top over Black Dragons. Both these teams might have a decent enough record. The Black Dragons won the previous map, and they had a narrow loss to G2 on this. And with G2 making an improvement, qualifying to Phase 2, overcoming that hurdle they faced at Manchester, we're in a bit of a different spot right now, and Black Dragons might just be the favorites. Attacking bans will come out. A Deimos ban, and when you're thinking about that second floor, how many soft floors there are, I wouldn't want to deal with it either.
Yeah, most definitely not. And also with such a large map, Deimos kind of narrows your vision in a good way. You're able to track an operator, you're able to work through the map, and as long as the person, you know, piloting Deimos has good comms and a good understanding of the map that you're on, you can more than likely communicate where that player is and just make your life overall easier. Monty, Deimos, Kaid, and Tubarão will be our bans here for layer, and especially those defensive bans. I think we're going to have some things held up in a very solid way, a way that definitely assists the offense, especially when you think about how many exterior walls layer has. A lot on that mid floor, a lot for the top floor bomb site. Tubarão makes all of those easier to play around. To not have him makes things a heck of a lot easier for that offensive side.
Yeah, Tubarão, I mean, obviously was released in a very strong state, and I feel like as teams have gotten more comfortable, I feel like with every stage, every event, I have just seen him integrated more and more into lineups, especially where exterior walls play a very important role. But I have no numbers to back this up, but just feels like Tubarão has played a lot more on this map than he necessarily is elsewhere. Not that he's played little on other maps, but it feels like there's so many sites, especially that second floor, but even this bottom floor as well, with how big it is. I mean, just look at how many rooms are on this floor alone.
Yeah.
The bomb site is tucked into like the bottom left corner, and then you've got ventilation, you've got missile, you've got all these places you got to go through, and even if you want to go direct, the defense could be sitting in any one of those spots to mount a retake and take a long angle. So getting rid of the breach denial operators will just make it a lot easy to open up the exterior walls on the top, middle, or bottom floor. But one player we got to see, Sam. One player we need to see have an impact is Nova.
I knew you were
this map is large. It is difficult to take the control of. And if you have a shield player who's playing these roles and not having that impact, it hurts any team, but it will hurt you that much more on layer.
Yeah, just know if at any moment in time you're like, oh, kind of a dunk moment there on Nova. No, well, yeah, but also you have to have more. You just do, folks. Like, he needs to find more value out of these shields. If not, give it to somebody else, man. Like, you're just clearly not cut from the proper rug in order to make this happen. So we'll have to see if he can get things going on here, but that's definitely something that I will most definitely be staring down here throughout this series. And it might start off early here as Nova's already working his way in through garage and staring down Missile Hallway.
I will back up. Scared for a brief moment as it seemed he was a bit separate from the rest of the team, but he will join the pack.
He's already up
on the opposite side. Thankfully, I think there are some people behind him. Yeah, explosions being set off, breach charges being detonated.
4 bodies downstairs.
Yep.
Where's our 5th player? Are we upstairs?
Yeah, saw him upstairs earlier. I believe the plan is probably... Oh, no. Demic likely going to backstab with those Candelas.
Could be a big moment here for FearX. There we go. This player over here inside of the Arsenal side. Hornet's got that hatch open for the immediate retreat as well, or the potential to try and shut down a player moving through that door that we did see below. FearX, very quick to the punch initially to gather map control, but now they're going to slow things down, try and get some info game going for themselves, and try and set up for this execute off the back of not only Blitz, but also this Ying, and it's going off very awkwardly right now.
Yeah, just 2 players falling immediately. Demic immediately smoked back out of the building. Nova walking into a goo mine. Every single player, aside from Mephi, it seems, meets some kind of obstacle. He'll trade with Nux and Gudo. Nova downs 1, but all the angles favor Black Dragons. You saw the indecision from FearX despite all that execute utility and the shield. They were very unsure of where to push exactly. Nova moving from the left side to the breach. Demic rotating on the back. They knew the numbers that faced them if they wanted to move into the site, and they were just never able to clear things out. And even with the utility, Black Dragons were just able to cut them down the moment they walked through their crosshairs. First defense will go Black Dragons' way. Remember, they've played this map twice this stage, and they have won 5 defenses every time. That has not always been enough to guarantee them a win in the earlier case against G2. But this is a team that over 2 plays has been so strong on this starting side.
Yeah, 100%. And it's really worrisome for FearX right now, Carter, mostly because even with that execute going off in a certain way, right, they really weren't all there and ready. We got to see that from the perspective of the Ying, and we're just not actually sitting at home plate prepared for the situation that we're pushing for. FearX kind of go in half-baked, and they get blown out of the water because of that. Black Dragons have a lot of these different instances completely shut down. We don't see a lot of active play out of Nova as he's been boxed out by utility. And then it comes down to just kind of a half-hearted offense where it's a 2 versus 4. You're trying to make the most out of the situation, but let alone that fact, you still have presence on that mid-floor that you can't even deal with. It's a fleeting round that you're just grasping at straws trying to bring back across the line, and it would have taken a massive error out of Black Dragons for that to happen.
Kind of round you want to start out on, that you controlled from 3 minutes to 0. Not a single time it felt like you were disadvantaged.
Yeah.
Not a single time it felt like you were the underdog. It was your story all the way through. They'll go to the top floor where could be the same story. Not having the tuber out, not having the Cade. Won't even bring a little bit of hard breach denial. No bandit, no mute whatsoever. They'll allow those walls to be open, but they'll bring a lot of the same tools that are left available. No Azami, oddly enough, but look at all those traps. The Gurjamots, F-Knots, and the Goo Mines. Basically the trifecta perfectly meant to counter the Blitz with the smoke. To do that if he wants to, then also just deny any plant going in. So I imagine this is a lineup we'll see quite a bit on layer, and also probably just quite a bit throughout the entire tournament.
Yeah, and this could be picturesque for Black Dragons as well, given the circumstances of FearX's lineup. This is clearly looking to try and poke and prod around with the Rotero drones, break up all this utility, Carter, and then go in for your execute. Get those smokes down, get that Blitz in there and playing actively, and then those Candelas as well. It all bodes at least well for FearX if they're able to get the execute going off without a hitch, but that's the big thing there. Black Dragons have a lot of different obstacles that they can place in front of this roster, and Demic, I mean, he's just lost here inside of the Sky Bridge. He gets gunned down, and FearX, once again, were discombobulated. Things are mistimed, and it's starting to go wrong.
It's just going wrong massively, though. Ren able to find a couple big frags, and yet Black Dragons still the better by the end. Gudo with the Blitz taken down, and good boy finished off. FearX hit the go button. They call the execute, and while it's not the reason they lost the round, I think a lot of it is summarized by the fact that Demic is lurking Skybridge, aware of the guy Green Hall, but never droned, never aware of the guy playing his trade on Green Stairs.
Yep, 100%. And very similar to what we saw from the first round from FearX, right? Somebody kind of gets in a scuffle, and then all of them feel as though it's a necessary thing for them to try and get this execute to go off, even though some people are ill-prepared. And yeah, they're able to at least get 2 big kills onto Black Dragons, but the immediate response, Carter, huge frags pouring in from the blue side, and that's where things just completely start to fall off the wagon because FearX don't have map control. They don't have man advantage. What do they have that's positive for them? Well, it's really actually nothing. At the end of the day, they have to try and work their way in and make the most out of a situation that's already boiled over, and now FearX are down 2 rounds due to very similar circumstances. Yeah, again, they were able to get some kills at least initially there on that kind of second volley of players working their way in, but it was too little, too late, and it really wasn't coordinated. Black Dragons finding a very easy way back into that round, especially in the kill department.
We'll see them change philosophies now. 2 rounds, it has just been, alongside the shield, an entire focus on bringing execute operators. Capitao, Grim, Ying. So many bits of utility that you use to close off positions, make it difficult to swing, or even take an angle at all. If you're just sitting in a corner with a shotgun, you get blinded by 8,000 Candelas. It's like, all right, cool, I don't even get a chance to play the game. I love that. But now, that's not worked. 2 rounds in a row. So they will switch. None of those operators present. This is almost looking like a year 3 lineup. Sure, we've got the Dokkaebi and the Blitz, but Sophia, Thermite, well, now it's happened again.
What, Nova, where are we putting ourselves that we're getting this punished?
I want to say this, by the way. Nova playing, I think, like 48 rounds on Shield in the South Korea League had north of a 70% cost between the regular stage and the LCQ. And he did have a solid map on Consulate, but this is somebody who plays Shields not like once or twice or flexes onto them. Nova's playing Shields all the time. He played it, again, almost 50 rounds on attack, Monty and Blitz in the South Korea League. And if your Shield player is just constantly dying to these positions, I get you get unlucky sometimes, but it has started to become a very problematic trend on potentially their final map in Montreal.
It's unprecedented how valuable shields are in their current iteration. And I know we touched on it throughout our previous 2 maps, but with Nova having these constant moments where he's just falling off the wagon, he's not able to make the most out of what's presented to him, it's just caused a massive gap in FearX's ability to take these offensive rounds. And yet we have another situation here where he goes down, no real chance for them to try and work themselves back in, at least as of now. Are we still trying to get this exterior wall? No, this is a different one here. I got worried there for just a split second, but they're going to put that down. End up getting that open here now as we get down to the last minute.
Oh, hello. Hornet switched to the shotgun rapidly. Not much Ren can do right now, aside from maybe try to hop out that window. Taking the fire. That's actually Good Boy on the opposite side. Ren is instead moving from Old Bridge, trying to pinch this mute stuck in the hallway at the moment. Second Dokubi call goes out. No capitalization.
No
we just
way.
forgot about the breach. I mean, Demic trying to play double duty, watch the door and the breach, and it's taken advantage of. Good Boy finally dies outside of the single doorway. Tactical timeout's got to be coming after this round. You got to be winning these attacks on Lair, not because they're easy, but because they're necessary. Ask. Just a spray transfer. 3K, 3 rounds in a row, and remember the Black Dragons, a consulate that was sighing after rounds. The energy is back. The passion is there. They know the wind is at their backs. They know they are the favorites on Lair.
Insane stuff here for Black Dragons. Just really playing their game and not trying to put too much value into these, certain moments. Just trying to keep things close to what the strategy is and making the most out of it. A lot of these different moments that we've seen from Black Dragons has really been the downfall of FearX on their side of the fence. It really hasn't been something where Black Dragons has done something so grandiose that it's caught FearX off guard. Again, a lot of this comes down to FearX just purely being discombobulated, being disconnected, and not being capable of finding a way back into these rounds post, really, Carter, I'm not trying to be mean here, but just mistake at the end of the day.
And, if you look at that round in particular, if you're going to just go with the normal breaches, utility burn, bring the Twitch to destroy any bulletproofs, bring the Zophias to destroy any, other bulletproof utility, all right, that's fine, but if you're going to bring the shield, that's kind of the main operator you're looking to tip the scales when you're actually going for that execute, because otherwise you're just relying on flashbangs, smokes, and whatever utility you're able to clear early on. And if you lose that shield immediately, well, you don't have the Grim that you've been running for 2 rounds. You don't have the Capital that you ran in round 1, or any of the other operators that make an execute easier to navigate. So if Nova just dies unceremoniously to like I was about to say another C4 kill, but they've actually mostly been from FearX, funny enough. But still, like a C4 kill from a shield at the beginning of the round, your team's kind of screwed at that point. Like, there's only a mute jammer, but once they open the breach, all they've got is the secondary utility. They don't have any primaries except maybe the concussions to try and actually work that 4v5 out, especially when Black Dragons realize that they don't need a peek.
Yeah. And, even given that circumstance, they picked the proper moments to do that, too.
Yeah.
FearX just mismanaging a lot of these different moments, and, it is clear as day when it comes to this scoreline. Not only a 3-0 when it comes to the overall round, but just look at the players here. Everybody showing up and showing that they're more than capable of taking it to FearX. And we're going to have yet another round that could end up going awry. Nova showed that blitz for quite some time there, but eventually rests on Twitch. And let alone that fact, we have the Glass in too. FearX have went away from the shield strategy for now.
They have just been trying everything so far. Fully leaning into shutting off angles and giving information to the blitz to push into the site. All right, that didn't work. Let's try just a bit more normal operator lineup, a bit more standard operator lineup. All right, that's something at least. Doesn't necessarily come from the utility. Even a Dokubi call necessary, but Good Boy gets it.
I will say this, though. Probably the most aggressive swing that we've seen from Black Dragons thus far.
Probably.
So, see if they can potentially build off of this, as FearX hasn't exactly been gifted, but definitely something that they'll be happy that came very quickly into this round. A nice opener, as they'll be able to take down Nux. Round 4 could be in the cards for FearX.
That could be. think of what they tried to do before. Obviously, the shield is gone. But didn't it look a lot like what we're seeing right now?
Yes,
4 guys down below and then struggling to figure out where to push. Sure, you're in a 4v5, but you've got 2 shotguns likely controlling both of the main choke points on this bomb site. And they're probably going to win that fight if you end up trying to take it. Nova will cross, taking a swing with the 417. Pre-fire lands on Ask. Gudo only 1 kill, and he'll push for more. Catches a guy with a Selma in hand, but on the switch to the AK-12, Demic somehow comes away with that one. It might not necessarily be pretty, and Black Dragons aren't making it easy, but FearX might just fight back and get their first attack post-timeout. Nova info on another, the Grim and the Z-Ping doing wonders for the information. C4 will be the end of him, but FearX have more than enough manpower to close this out. And the time as well, 55 seconds. Hornets got to try to catch some of them off guard. FearX need to make some kind of mistakes, or timing needs to go his way. That's one. Barricade broken down, but good boy, patient, aware, and conscious of the fact he might be swung. And that'll pay off. It gives FearX their first after, let's give them credit, a round that they began and ended on their terms.
Yeah, very positive note there. A very good understanding that Black Dragons, at some moment in time, is going to want to take that fight. It happens a little early. It happens inside of the first minute. Nux, his gunfight ends up going awry, and it favors FearX entirely, especially after Nova switching over to a gun, switching over to that 417 of Twitch, finds 2 big kills in that round. And, I mean, that is the biggest round that we see out of Nova throughout this entire layer thus far. Might be something that they continually try to lean into. Don't trust that attacker pick just yet, as you can see some things already shifting. Nova might still lock in that blitz, but honestly, I think it might be worth going away from it. Might be on a round-to-round basis as to what the bomb site is, as to, you know, if they do feel comfortable with that. But as of right now, Nova made his presence known in that last round in a very considerable way. Why not try and give him a gun?
417 especially, I mean, it used to be kind of a joke of a gun, but now alongside the other DMRs, quite a powerful weapon to use. But
yes, sir.
He's sticking it. He's going back with the blitz.
Okay, so what do we want to see here, Carter? Really what we want to see is we want to see them build up around Nova properly, right?
Yep.
A lot of these different instances, we see Nova work his way in and end up getting gunned down, blown up, whatever you have, really, in that moment. We need to see FearX, no matter what happens to Nova, build off of that moment. Whether it be a refrag, whether it be them taking map control, something has to happen that's positive with this blitz.
And if you're going to, since it is an R6 room defense, if you're going to try to send the blitz from operations and aid it by a backstab from Newbridge, which even though it's a very different operator lineup from that attack, you could still do the very same thing. We need the proper intel. Cut off those flanks, get a drone green stairs, so if somebody wants to walk up, they'll be able to do it and know they can well and truly only focus on the guy playing close in the hallway. But Black Dragons are doing the same thing again. They're aware that they might try to go for that backstab. So they've got 2 players there again, not on the stairs, but around the actual entrance to the site itself. So it's something they need to be worried about, especially as 1 player is close with 2 players are close with that shotgun.
Yep. And that's the thing as well, you know, for Black Dragons in this operator lineup, they've practically brought the exact thing that you would want when dealing with a blitz. You've got a lot of trap operators. You also have those Dreadnought mines in. All of this is going to complicate things, but all of a sudden, FearX with some big kills. A very patient Nova will help in practically droning out this player inside of the deep site.
Almost died to the C4, though. He's at 48 HP, and we've seen players a couple times this event reveal their feet a little too much. Look at that angle, just barely tagging Mephi on a tight angle to the doorway outside of the site. Gershmont will hit Nova. Shield gets exposed very briefly, but he'll back off to safety and move outside to regroup. Rain watching this window, likely calling. There's nobody actively swinging, but as we can see, Gudo is close by. This blitz is going to make a hell of a lot of noise, and the Goo Mine hops in. He's in a tricky spot, and again, he dies. Rin outside of the window. Not a whole lot he can do, but Black Dragons are ready for that rotate. And again, the diffuser's trapped inside the building. Mephi keeps the advantage. Mephi keeps it alive, and Rin shuts it down. The blitz again, I can't call it super impactful, but the guns around it give FearX their second.
And what did I say, man? That's all we needed to see. You don't need to see a crazy amount of success out of Nova when it comes to that shield, Carter. What you need to see is the offense building around them, taking map control, taking gunfights, and being successful in their rights, right? Or rather, in their own right. And that's the big thing that we saw out of FearX there. They were able to get those 2 big picks all off of just kind of that big moment that we saw out of Nova. A very patient moment there in the hallways. He's just staring down his opponent, gets to get that info to his team, and they make the most out of the situation. I think the only thing past that was a huge moment for me, for FearX, was once that happened, post that moment, they slow things down and they re-engage in a different portion of the map. That was a huge, huge moment there for them. And although the Blitz ends up dying, they're capable of keeping all those different active angles that nip Black Dragons right in the bud and bring us to the scoreline.
Yeah, the fact that they're able to keep control of those rotations that happen once the call comes that the Blitz is coming from the opposite side, over by Bathroom. Black Dragon's able to keep a lid on things.
Memorial or something. I'm trying to remember what that... It's got all the paintings, and it's got a name very closely associated with that, but my mind is enigma right now.
It is important to note that this will be the first time that of the 2 times Black Dragons have played so far, and they will not have been able to win 5 defenses. Though technically, I will say they won 5 defenses with overtime involved earlier, so that number might have a bit of an asterisk to it for the G2 game, but still... There's a possibility of a tie game going into their attacking half, and that has been the struggle for them on every single time they've played this map, and is often the struggle. FearX have a bit of a better result in that Talon game. It was dominant attacks and defenses, a 7-3 overall, if I recall correctly. And so are they going to be able to manage that here, attacking basement for a 3rd time? They were able to win it before without that Blitz, Sam, and Nova's like, I think I'm back. I think I can do it again.
Yeah, 5 out of the 6 rounds of offense, Nova will be on the shield. And funny enough, his most impactful round was more than likely the Twitch with those 2 kills. That last round, impactful in a different way, but not really able to find any numbers of his own. But FearX looking a lot less fearful in this regard. And here we go, Nova.
Here we go.
Oh, that is such a bad moment.
Stop giving him the
He doesn't
diffuser.
get the flash off. That's the biggest thing for me. We're not using the Blitz utility, and we're just giving him free insight into our ankles. Just please shoot me in the legs. I want to die, apparently. And Black Dragons, although they do get that pick onto Nova, they're actually going to end up at the bottom side of this man count as they lose 2 bodies of their own.
But these kills, these successes are happening in spite of the Blitz. They are not happening because of it. They are happening in spite of the Blitz going down. And he's got diffuser every single time. Like, these plays are happening constantly where he just gets caught out either by luck or by a misplay with the diffuser. And so they're dropped into comfortable positions, at least now because of the gunfight, you've got control of it. But Nux through the floor challenges Demic on the vertical angles. You don't really have an easy way into the site. You can use that hard breach charge at least to open up a small hole in the wall, but no Grim, no Capitao, no smokes. All the flashes on Mephi have been used.
Oh, they got it.
Well, that's good.
Yep.
We'll take what we can get.
Exactly. I was a little worried there for just a split second. I saw that Mephi didn't have any secondary EMPs, nobody really having any utility to try and deal with that 4th right, but instead it'll be the angle up top that will be able to take it out. Now Good Boy breaking up a lot of these floorboards, making life a little bit difficult for these Black Dragons members that are still residing inside of the site.
Pop the Vulcan pack on the breach. Gershmot and smoke canister prepped. Send on a what they believe will be the execute coming down bottom yellow. Mephi with the diffuser pushing in. They'll move forward, though it is a bit of a rotate, a bit of a different position. Ass completely blinded, keeps swinging, and Rin keeps killing. FearX won't stop winning. Round 6. It was not pretty, but 3 in a row. By God, they somehow tied the game.
That's crazy. That's just absolutely absurd, especially with the value that we've gotten out of Nova's Blitz shields. I mean, they're practically playing the game with some cement shoes, honestly, and somehow, some way, they're still capable of pulling things across the line. Obviously, the circumstances of round 6 a little bit different from what we'd seen previously, especially given the fact that they were able to trade out Nova for 2 bodies on the side of Black Dragons. That definitely made things a heck of a lot easier for them. But besides the point, FearX able to use a lot of that map presence, specifically that verticality, to make life difficult for Black Dragons. Then the swings start to come in and find a lot of these big moments. Black Dragons able to at least split things even. Stevens is 3-3, but a lot of those rounds seemed more than, inside of their control before slipping and going the way of the orange.
And is it going to be enough? I brought this up on Consulate that even though FearX are playing it close, because they had a couple heroic moments, it might be enough just to close it out 8-7 or in a close 7-5, and really that's what's happened here. I mean, Black Dragons overall, like you said, the Blitz was just not doing it, and maybe not necessarily lead shoes, but the fact that you have such a powerful operator that is just not having an impact. You're leaving so much on the table, so much potential energy unrealized and unchanged into actual progress. And you still got a 3-3. You still got 3 attacks. That's commendable in its own right and is really the individual performances from Mephi, Goodboy, and Rin that have made this a workable final map, that have stopped Black Dragons from running away with that lead on the defense and now put them in an objectively difficult position. Mirror window will get popped right as the breach opens up, and he shoots it. Wow, that is impressive from Mephi. Opens it up, finds the edge of the exothermic. Didn't even need an impact. You are giggling for the rest of the round at that
down. What?
All right, well now we overcooked it a little bit.
Yeah, that was we just didn't need that. We really didn't. And Rin's gonna end up going down, but hey, at least the mirror window is gonna persist.
Think of what Black Dragons were doing. They were contesting Skybridge by just playing there aggressively, but closer to the site. They didn't need to peek those windows or anything like that. I think Rin just getting a little, I don't think too cocky, but Rin, I think just overthinking it a little bit.
Yeah, most definitely. Probably thinking that there's an easy pick out there as they were just able to thwart the game plan of getting that main breach open. Probably somebody waiting right outside of that, just loitering around, but obviously not the case. It's going to be the roof player instead that'll gun down Rin and give the advantage over to Black Dragons. Although a lot of different ways for FearX to still stand tall here. Some solid defensive options still lie in wait for BD.
Spotted by the drone, bottom rocket. Thankfully, you can teleport back with the other Scopos robot. Ultimately, I will say, even though it is a 4v5, I mean, Black Dragons have generally been incapable of opening up these meaningful and impactful breaches. Ask has uses other exothermic, but the wall to operations is fully reinforced now. If the other wall is opened up, you still are well short of where you wanted to be before. Summa Charge will land to make that better, but FearX are in a position as good as you can be in the 4v5, especially with this Scopo still out on the roam. Might have been spotted, but it will be a thought in the back of Black Dragon's mind as Reed takes Skybridge. And honestly, the important thing here, Sam, I think it's just the fact that, well, never mind. I was going to say it's clear, but again, somebody swings the window from FearX, and somebody goes down. A 4v5 is winnable, but now a 2-man deficit as Black Dragons are going into the execute. Somebody's got to go big, and it seems that person's got to be Mephi. He loses that key fight, but it's still a 2v2. Nova Demic going big. Nova needed to perform, and he's hit all the shots he needs, but Kudo creeping up right outside the bathroom will reveal his position, and the shotgun will be his end. FearX take the lead. The first time this map, and maybe the most important round with how close that came.
Yeah. Definitely some antsiness there at certain moments, but able to get it across the line nevertheless. The opener going to Black Dragons, the round going to FearX, and it's going to be an immediate timeout here from Black Dragons after their first round of offense, as there was a lot of value that ended up just being squandered from the first minute and 30 that we saw. Black Dragons just not really able to make good on their promise, especially when it came down to the execution there, Carter. We see the phone call come out, and none of the gunfights go their way.
To be fair, I did not know you could shoot the exothermic from that angle in the mirror window. To be fair, I'm gonna give Ask some grace. I didn't know you could do that. I mean, obviously you can shoot the exothermic, but I don't know, just the angle you place it that close, the open the mirror window. It's unlucky, and I think that is a bit of a different situation if you're able to open that up earlier on. But still, as you said, they try to push in, and FearX just completely win every fight. I mean, it is really funny that Nova, every round this man has not played Blitz, he's gotten at least like 2 kills.
Yep.
On the 417, on the SMG-11 now, and this guy's not got many kills. He's only got 5. All the times he's not played a gun, he is basically averaging at least 2 kills.
Or all the times that he's not playing a shield.
True, yes, all the times he's not playing a shield. Also, you got to point out, I mean, Black Dragons at this point now have won every opening pick, and they are still losing the game. They were able to convert it in the first 3 rounds, but aside from that brief interruption in round 4, Sam, I mean, FearX have they've been able to recover these, and it's been, I guess at this point, the whole team with what we just saw that round. Demic was really the only guy that we hadn't seen start performing in that late round, because even Nova had it a couple times, but with him getting involved, I think another double kill for him as well that round. FearX are literally just winning this by being clean and hitting their shots and bringing back and recovering these deficits.
Yeah, and just playing on good pace as well. I mean, there was a lot of different moments there where Black Dragons were prepared for them to get more aggressive and go for these swings, and yeah, they were able to get some kills because of that. But once FearX recognized what the situation was, they slowed things down to a grinding halt, forcing Black Dragons to try and go for these executes. And although they had a lot of really good utility to try and work off the back of for that execute, Carter, it went completely awry. I mean, you have EE1Ds flying in, you've got dope calls flying in, and nobody able to make anything positive off of that information game. But yet again here, folks, we're going to have another kill going the way of Black Dragons. And I am not kidding, only one opening kill throughout this entire game going the way of FearX, yet we still have the round count that we do.
I've seen many a man on this map fly too close to the sun at the bottom rocket door, and they fall as a result. Candela will go in. The good boy lost his life earlier, so the Vigil not going to waste as much time as you would like. Will FearX be able to recover another 4v5? That's the big question. One player up top watching that hatch and the other three down below. We saw the Black Dragons, or sorry, FearX, when they were just trying to almost kind of default and just like kind of probe for that information on the bottom floor, figure out where to push. They really struggled. Will the blitz from Nux have a bit more impact than Nova did?
All quiet around the map. Nux waiting for the call. A decent amount of damage as he'll get tagged in the foot. Ask with a nice kill onto Rin as he'll try and close the gap. Nitro Cell right off the front of the shield and able to make some space off of that too. A nice kill here. Can he get the second? He won't be able to. And this execute looking very clean for BD.
I mean, just nothing it feels like FearX can do. If the last round was a great recovery with the gunfights, I mean, I'm glad they're getting excited because it was a pretty unenthusiastic round, it felt like, from everybody involved. They hit the Finka boost, the blitz pushes in, and, well, the blitz, Nux knows how to use his blind. Nux knows how to use that. Nux can use that utility, blinds him, takes the fight, almost gets the second. It's a pretty clear cut and dry round, and one that we really didn't see from FearX on their side. They just had to wait for Black Dragons to swing. And to be fair, they did win those fights when they were on the attacking side, but that was Black Dragons realizing that they could use the blitz to create pressure, to get kills, and use him very, very effectively in that round. Only for one kill, but still the space he created behind him and the pressure he laid before him, very, very strong, especially when you consider the fact that, I mean, if you've only got 3 players on the site, a guy dies in the first 40 seconds. As long as you just maintain that advantage, it really isn't a complicated round after that.
No, just got to keep it rolling in a positive way. Don't try and get overzealous. Don't try and do anything that's, high flying at the end of the day. And that's really what we saw to Black Dragons. They kept it very clean, very close to the chest there, and were able to deliver at the end of round 8. Now looking to do the same in round 9, although a different cast of characters will be selected for this. We did have the blitz there for quite some time on Nux, but instead he will move on over to the Maverick. And this could bode extremely well for them, as Maverick is one of those operators that does a very good job of dealing with these exterior walls, and this is going to be one of those situations.
Black Dragons are kind of different from FearX in that while Nova is like a hard shield main this stage, Nux is the guy who does play the shields. But Black Dragons as a whole don't really play the shields all that much, at least not to the same degree that FearX have. Nux will be that guy, but he will pick up a gun more often than not. The shield is really something that Black Dragons used in more focus-specific situations, whereas FearX obviously is a mainstay of their attacking lineup. So Nux making this rotation, not shocking. They'll bring the breach as if he's not playing shields. This man is playing something with which he can open up a reinforcement. And how he'd be able to do that, as it's a first floor site. They'll look to full clear the top floor, and seems to be a bit of a roam presence, but a lot of players scattered right now. Nux just outside this window. You can almost see that look players get in their eye when they're right at the window and decide to vault in. And, well, maybe we should have thought better. Ask able to land that trade, but how many times this series overall have we seen the guy with the diffuser hop in, get aggressive, die, and then diffusers are stuck inside the building? Yeah,
and let alone that fact, but it's Nux. I mean, that's the biggest thing here. I think the only reason that they risk that at all is they've more than likely sussed out the fact that FearX have no wall denial. So that makes it to where Nux is just kind of a moot point. Just another guy with another gun, as those Selmas will be able to do that job instead, and they'll more than likely end up getting that wall open. Black Dragons trying to make some progress on this top floor, have made their way up green stairs. These smokes constantly pour in from Nova to the point where he's actually used up all of these in this area.
Gonna have to rely on those C4s now and the Clash as well, though, who is on the top floor. Nade thrown behind, but Rin doesn't really care. We'll just move around them, navigate, and Florio gets this diffuser down entirely uncontested.
Wow.
The player, Good Boy, even tries to fight on the site. Florio falls off, kills him, and just moves on. Gudo ready for all this recovery. Rin might style on him, but it is a bland round from FearX. Black Dragons with like a staircase and a hallway. Mount, set up, and complete and execute with very little response.
Yeah, it's pretty poor when your entire strategy is playing the top floor so you can have verticality to try and shut down a plant, and not a single person even shoots at the guy entering or planting the bomb.
The attack is literally just like, oh, cool. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate that. I mean, you might as well put lights like it's a landing strip for him to enter that site.
The
it's
site
craziness.
is that way.
Yeah, exactly. You know, for a long time when it comes to game development, we had that conversation about yellow paint, right? I mean, just put yellow paint all over that entire area. Just be like, it's yours. This is where you want to do it. Just put it down right here.
Yeah.
Craziness.
And especially if you're going to have players up top, I mean, I get the possibility, you know, if you have the Clash on site and you lose that vertical control, she's in a bit of a difficult spot, but you had 3 people up top. Maybe you put that Clash down below?
Yeah.
Because once the call comes out that they're going for that breach, I mean, you don't know necessarily that they're going for a direct. And to be fair, Ask did rotate in earlier on, get a kill from the opposite side, so they were definitely probably concerned about some backside presence, but the Clash isn't really doing a whole lot on that top floor, especially when she's stuck in that narrow hallway. She can't swing across the breaches, move across rooms. She can either move forward or back, as evidenced by the fact that she just got naded from behind in the front. There was really nothing she could do and got trapped for the duration of that plant. So I think just a bit of a misallocation of resources from FearX in that round. And Black Dragons, even though they've had problems with the attack in the past, FearX are really just not giving them any issues that they have to solve.
No.
Aside from that first round, I guess.
Yeah, and really that's the biggest thing right now. When you have rounds like what we just saw out of FearX, where you go, okay, you're playing the split site, or rather you're playing it split, you're playing it on the top floor to try and cover the bomb site. There's just no, teeth to this bite out of FearX, and that's really the issue. Just no good understanding of where these players are positioned, no solid angles to try and shut down anybody entering towards the bomb site. It's just all very half-baked out of FearX, and Black Dragons are well within their right to be able to take that round even with minimal map
This
control.
is a similar situation as well. If you just saw Hornet walked up operations because it's full reinforced and nobody's actually playing there. So Black Dragons have, as these rounds have gone on, have rotated. Even in the first attack, showed that they really just wanted to do directs, get the reinforcements they needed open, then go in for a diffuse plant. So if you already have operations and you can open that breach up pretty soon, yeah, sure, it might be a 5v5, but if one kill goes your way or you're able to push that Clash back, Black Dragons are already rapidly approaching the position where they could mount and execute, and I think more importantly, just start wasting util. And I know the smoke is not in Nova's hands, but FearX have been awfully liberal with these smoke canisters, and now the Black Dragons are kind of setting up on their terms. I'm kind of getting concerned.
Yeah, I'm a little worried too.
And at 15, that comes out.
Yeah, FearX, they've been able to at least whittle down the timer and keep even man count, but a lot of utility still to be had on both sides respectively, especially when it comes to Gudo and those Bs. And this could create enough space for them to try and get a plant down. You can see a lot of this building up over on the far side of the room, over towards that outside breach. Nova trying to find some solid position over here for Sky, but he might go for the full rotation. We'll have to see how this works out, but at very minimal time, Black Dragons have got to try and find a place to plant, and it's got to happen now. Ask with a nice kill as this plant continues to try and go down.
C4 goes out, it goes through, he's shot, he might get it off, but it doesn't deny what needs to be happening. Clash down as well. They've got the time to pick up Rin as all of Black Dragons are retreating, so it will be a 4v3, but only 2 guns in all likelihood alive. Mephi now creeping down, Hornet ratting on bottom rocket. I love that. Waiting for the retake and the face check bottom floor. Demic will spot one, hopping into the Memorial window, but on the fall off, he's down. There is nothing FearX can do. Rin is stuck in this corner, sitting on the diffuser. There is no counter argument. There is no method to this madness. It is just Black Dragons getting 2 rooms, a plant, and a round victory 3 times in a row.
Yep. Set up the crossfire for the main breach. get yourselves inside of operational, get a nice little breach over on that side too, so you can hop, skip, and jump through that rotation, or rather reinforcement, Carter, and then get that plant down. And that's the biggest thing there. FearX knew that plant was going down. They had zero way of countering it that was actually active. If any of you noticed, a smoke did eventually roll into that area and try and prevent the Capitao from actually putting the case down, but it was too little too late, man. We knew what this entire strategy was from the very jump out of Black Dragons. When you see that main breach go off and you see them breach over on the terrace side, Carter, they're more than likely going to be going for a plant on one of those walls. And FearX just do not move their chess pieces in a proper way to be able to thwart that game plan.
And really just, we had the Cade Tuberal ban, and even though FearX were able to get 3 attacks, Black Dragons have just been able to play around that lack of breach denial far better than FearX were able to. They struggled to get those 3 rounds across the line, and Black Dragons, all of these past 3 have looked really easy and really uncomplicated for them. Especially, think of what, usually if you're doing a direct take and it's on one of the, you know, second floor bomb sites or first floor bomb sites, assuming there's a basement, one of the first things that you need to drop if you're low on time is likely a guy going down below for the C4, just because you maybe take too long to open the breach, take too long to get in and get the diffuser, you got to bait out the smokes, but you're just out on time, you got to hedge your bet. You just got to go in, right? But Hornet was down there for like a minute. They had more than enough time to wait for Nova to get that C4, and so even though he gets the kill, Hornet can just get that trade. Black Dragons got everything they wanted with time to spare, and that just seems to continue to be the case. Nux going back on this blitz, bringing back that shield. We'll see what they do, but I hope FearX get the game plan that they are not going to try to full clear here. They're just going to try to clear out their little portion of the map and move in off it.
Yeah, get the necessary things, Carter. You don't have to go farther than that. And that's the big thing when it comes to Rainbow Six in general. You know, it's so very easy to overcook a strategy and be like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to end up getting these far angles and have somebody try and flank in on the rear. You don't need to do all that. You really don't.
Sometimes you do, but not always.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and this is a perfect iteration here. Black Dragons have a very good understanding of what these map bans are doing overall to this situation, and they're making the most of it right now. Some solid information on this Mira, and oh my, Good Boy's not even able to get away from the frag grenade.
Both those walls, the exterior and the interior, soft. The nade does him in. Rin will refrag, but the blitz goes in. Bye-bye, buddy. You are done and dusted. Oh, another one! Mephi can't hit the feet. Quick movements from Nux will keep him alive and full clear that top floor on match point. They say no direct for us. We will clear your roam. We will give you that response. You're going to regret ever thinking you could hold on to R6 room. Final 2 players have a crossfire on green stairs. Black Dragons will reset and drone to find them.
Terrifying prospects here for FearX. There's so much time remaining, Carter.
A whole minute.
And that's the thing. You know, it gets to a sub-minute. A lot of people get antsy, especially when you're a little bit fresher to Rainbow Six.
Oh,
this is practically like an infinite amount of time, folks. That's the big thing here. But hey, what a moment. They're going to be able to get rid of the blitz, and Smoke will be able to at least exist for a little while longer. But Demic, he gets caught off by Gudo. They have the entire bomb site to themselves, as more than a good recognition moment here from Nux as he discovers both those players off the bomb site.
Not much you can do at that point. Once Black Dragons make the call, they flood in. Oh, a nade lands. Nova put very low. The entire tournament riding on his shoulders. And Florio just outswings him. Consulate looked so good, looked so positive. And it was just a slow decline afterwards. Black Dragons qualify to Phase 2, but FearX failed to make it out of Phase 1. 4 majors in